to remind myself I listen to music, and I turn the volume up when I'm listening to music, so I don't know if the music is too loud or not on this game, because the music is a lot louder. I think it's because it's jazzy. Jazzy has a little more strength behind it when it comes to instrumentals. Like, it's not as, I don't know, like less elevatory. I don't know what the right word is for it, but it's a little louder, it feels like to me, than other Otome games. It's very strong. That's just the vibe I get from this one. Anyways, hi! We're on our third stream of Cafe Enchante. I was going to play a little bit last night, but I had a headache again. And honestly, I think I might just have a head cold at this point, and it's presenting itself as a headache. So I just wasn't feeling it. When I have a headache, this little lovely ring light that helps you see me better just does not, it's not my vibe. So we left off after a lovely tea party celebrating the grand opening of Cafe Enchante with the prospect of visiting another world. We're going to go to Canus's world. Canus. I can't say his name right today. And he lives in the fairy world, which is where leprechauns and fairies live. Like, I'm excited to see it. Pallia Mors, the Pale Hand of Death. Good start. Ako Polsat Pere. Knock on the door. All equals when it calls. Pauperum Tabaranas. Be it the impoverished living in a shed. Regum Q Torres. Or the king living in a palace. I don't know if I'm saying these words right. Yes. With not a single discrimination. Oh, look at her. Canus Espada. You shall henceforth be committed to the duty of your ancestors. Oh, she continues to be the cutest thing I've ever seen. It's a burdensome role, perhaps even heavier than mine, even as the queen. Dude, she's cute as heck. Actually, that reminds me, let me... It tings so loud when you press buttons. I notice it too much. You will not receive praise, nor will anyone thank you. You may even be avoided. Was this way for your ancestors? Even so, do you choose to walk the same path as your ancestors who came before you? If this is what it takes to protect the Fairy World Medio. I was born to handle such a task until I rot away and vanished into the ether. I swear that I will fulfill this duty. It's ether. I know I said it wrong. You.
いや、カヌス、そなたの忠誠に深く感謝しよう。これより先。
Canus, your loyalty deserves my gratitude. Please, you must fulfill your duty.
承知した。
2 hours, you know him. Understood. She did not need to explain this to me. She did not need to confirm my acceptance. The only reason I was born was to accomplish this one thing. Yet the queen spoke with me out of the kindness of her heart. At the same time, it is cruel. Yes, I understood it more than anyone. The Fairy of Death. This name was the embodiment of the inescapable duty bestowed upon me. What does that mean? Oh, which reminds me. Haha, because I'm taking screenshots of that to make posters. I made an Instagram picture. I'm gonna post it later today of next week's schedule. I will be streaming on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday is gonna be they're all morning streams, but Tuesday might not be as long as Thursday. It might be a shorter stream. Wednesday I work in the evening, so it's gonna be again just a morning stream. And then Thursday I might try to stream double. So I might have a morning stream and then an afternoon stream, depending on how the story progresses and how like my throat feels at that point. And then tonight, I should be playing Lethal Company with friends once I get home from work, which it's 9 a.m. right now, so that's gonna be in about 13 hours. I'll be playing Lethal Company with my friends. So I'm excited. So come join us if you like to watch me die a lot. My last Lethal Company game, I died so much. I was trying to make some clips from it, and half the time I was dead. And on the VOD that I uploaded, the quote from that is, "Look behind you, Bunny's dead." And I'm just like, oh god. Because I died so much. It was so many times. Alright, the moment I stepped into the gate, I immediately felt like I was floating, constantly rising, constantly falling. As if I was inside a pool of water, my body was enveloped and felt a pressure. Suddenly, and without warning, a rush of wind made rough with sand blew in from my side. Huh. An eerie sound was whispering to me along with the dry wind grazing my ear. As if seized by the sound, I felt a strained weight on my arm. My body began tilting and I felt like I was being pulled downwards. Uh, I don't know what it was. I felt an extreme chill and threw off the weight in desperation. CG? No. And then my body became light. I felt like I was being thrown into space. And hit by the sudden force of gravity, I slammed into something very hard. Ow! My vision was shaky after the impact. I was able to pick myself up somehow. There, the scene I saw was wow, amazing. My screen was covering it, but like right around here where my screen is, it got really flickery. Good morning, Jay. Hi. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I myself am tired. Wow, amazing. Verdant greens and flowers beyond sight. That's not that many flowers. They're kind of tiny. Look at that tree trunk. Whoa. Giant trees that touch the heavens. Is it doing it on that screen too? Is this just how the game is doing this? Roads that stretched endlessly and were colored with light shining through the trees. What is that? It looks like a well. Oh, I'm doing OT at home. I'll be here lurking. Dude, I love that. Working from home's so much more exciting. One, you know where the kitchen is. Two, usually you surround the stuff with that you enjoy. Like Exhibit A, there's Princess Peach, my Jujutsu Kaisen statues. Right above here's my demons. Actually, Demon Slayer takes up a few. There's even more below. You know, it makes me happy. Although my Tanjiro shelf is getting extremely full. I have like, I think this is the one. This is Tanjiro where he's eating rice balls. And I have some Widow Tanjiros over here. I got so many Tanjiros right now. I even have a Tanjiro I haven't opened yet. He's in a box over there. Looking at my surroundings more carefully, I saw all sorts of mysterious things that I never seen before. They were all part of some strange place I never would see back at home. It was as if, yeah, I'm in another world. Is that what you're about to say? I'm in another world. Wait, that's right. I came back to my senses. My memory of what had just happened before being thrown out here had gotten hazy. The tea party and the other, did they say the other day? I thought she was saying the others. And it all started during a certain part of the conversation we were having. If you're going to do a flashback, we just had this conversation. They're like, let's visit
そりゃ
Canus's
もち
world.
ろん異世界ですとも。それによ。
確かに
Do this.
この場の面々の中でという意味なら一番危険が少ないとは思う
Okay, that part actually might have been new. The climate of Fairy World Medio is serene with almost no dangerous creatures there. If we consider the inhabitants there, it is the least dangerous place to visit. Besides, Canus caught a little off guard from suddenly having to speak.
じゃ、決まりだね。いやー、出発が楽しみだな。
Alright,
おや
it's
つに
settled.
バナナとか用意しなくちゃ。
Oh man, I'm so excited to go. I'm gonna pack some bananas.
なんでバナナだよ。つうか出発っていつだよ。
I'm kind of curious. Why do you need bananas? And when are we leaving
幼
exactly?
鳥で良いのではないでしょうか。今日となると、今から向かっても大した時間は滞在できないでしょうし。
How about tomorrow morning? Leaving right now wouldn't give us much time to spend there.
そうね。というか、よくよく考えたら、俺たちもそこそこ付き合いあるのに、お互いの世界って行ったことないもんね。
That's true. Now that I think about it, we've known each other for so long, but have never visited each other's worlds, have we?
うんうん。彼女もきっと楽しめるし、アンシャンテとしては画期的なイベントじゃない？
I'm sure Leah will enjoy it too. It's a groundbreaking event for Enchante, don't you think? Huh? You really think so?
こらこらそこの楽しそうな魔王様
Hang on. You, the giddy little demon lord over there. I was just starting to get caught in the rush of everyone talking about this trip when Mr. Rindo pumped the brakes.
そうやって気軽に彼女を異世界に引き込まないでくれるかな
Please don't go parading her into a whole other world like it's no big deal.
こっちのことを知りたいっつったのはこいつだし、別にいいじゃないか。
Like, you sound so much like Kyo. Like, this guy gives off major Kyo energy. He is an angry cat. His hair is more red than orange, so he's not exactly like Kyo in appearance, but he's close. He also has bracelets on his wrist, which, if you know Kyo from Fruits Basket, he also has a bracelet on the wrist. There's a reason for his, but, you know. She's the one who said she wanted to learn more about us. What's wrong with that?
だとしても何も直接行く必要はないでしょうさっきも言ったけど人間は脆いんだ
Well, you don't have to leave right away. I just said that humans are fragile.
君たちの世界の普通が致命的なことだったなんてのもザラだ彼女が危険にさらされるのは避けたい
Sorry, you had a lot of thoughts just now. What might be normal for any of you could be fatal to her. It happens all the time. I want to be sure she'll be safe from danger.
それにあのソーアンさんだって君たちの世界までは干渉しなかったでしょ
Soan never took the leap and went with you to any of your worlds, right?
ソーアンはそもそもデブ症でしたから、異世界に遠足なんざめんどくせえと言っていた記憶があります。
You forget Soan was a homebody. I do remember him saying something like, a trip to another world sounds like a pain. I didn't really expect that. The grandpa I always imagined would have dived headfirst into another world. As the excitement in the room grew, Canus clapped his hands.
お前たち、盛り上がるのは結構だが、当の本人が面食らっているではないか。
Everyone, I'm glad you are all excited, but the woman of the hour seems to be pensive.
行くか行くまいか、それを決めるのは彼女自身だろう。
Whether she goes or not, Leah herself is to decide that. Canus's comment causes everyone to look towards me. And now I feel pressured to say yes.
確かに。ごめん。きっと喜んでくれると思って意思確認を怠っちゃった。
Huh. You're right. Sorry, Leah. I was so convinced you'd be happy to go, I've forgotten to even check with you. What? Oh no, I was honestly interested after hearing everyone talk about it. I reply in a fluster. Maybe talking of his home world was the reason for it, but Canus seemed to be becoming quite pensive for a moment before speaking.
ミシェルの言うことも、リンドウの言うことも、どちらも正しいと。
I believe both Monsieur and Rindo both make sound points.
我ら人外についての見聞を広め、知識を得るためには、またとない機会だとは思うが。
Sir Carl, I'm going off in the parking lot, I can hear it. This may be an unparalleled chance to observe and broaden the understanding of non-humans.
リンドウの言うように、危険もまた数多くある。比較的安全な妖精界メディオでさえも、人にとっては厳しい世界かもしれん。
But there are many dangers, as Rindo says, even in the Fairy World Medio. A relatively safe place, it could be tough for a human.
マスター、それでも、あなたは異世界へと渡ることを望むか？
Leah, that being the case, I like his hand. I'm not gonna lie, he's got a gorgeous hand. That being the case, do you still desire to travel to another world? I deliberated for a moment. As Mr. Rindo said, I could still learn about other worlds within Enchante. And the fact that Grandpa never stepped foot into another world might even be more of a reason for me not to go. However, I want to go. It's not like I don't get anxious thinking about going somewhere so unknown, but still, I have to see it for myself, Canus's world and everyone else's too. I want to know more about them. These feelings push me one step forward.
そうか。
I see.
ならばせめて、アンシャンテのマスターたるあなたに害がないよう、真摯に努めるとしよう。
And I will swear this to you now, the owner of Enchante, no harm will come to you. Oh. After that day, Mr. Rindo was against the idea until the very end, thinking of my safety. His refusal was overturned by the group. He eventually agreed with the proposition, but only if he was able to join as well. Has he gone to another world before? The morning after, with our representative Canus leading us, we all went through the gate. And now we're here. So this really is Canus's homeworld, the Fairy World Medio. Oh, so pretty. Holy snap, that's gorgeous. What the heck? Fairy World Medio. After having to narrow my eyes from the light so bright that poured from the trees. Wow, I'm really in another world. I finally internalized my current situation. I want to see everyone's excitement, so I turn around and, there was no one there. I looked around, figuring they would be easy to spot, but I couldn't see anyone around me at all. They were nowhere to be found. Not only that, I didn't even see the gate that we had just passed through. Huh? Canus? Monsieur? Heel? Ingot? Ignis? Mr. Rindo? No answer. She got pulled, right? So that's probably what happened. It's gotta be. They did a title card. We have to be in the right place, Leah. Don't worry. Is this really Medio? I began to lose assurance in that fact. But it was Canus who held the doorknob as we went through the gate. Enchante's gate still had many mysteries behind it, but there were a few facts that were clear. Though it does connect to countless other worlds, the world you travel to is dependent on who opens the door. A mysterious door set in the back of Enchante connected to other worlds. Basically, it connects to the locations related to whoever opens it in the other world, their world of origin, the details, and why it's an Enchante is unknown. I started to hiccup. Oh god. That being the case, so long as Canus was the one who opened it, this should definitely be his homeworld. What do I do? Could something have happened when we went through? Is it possible this isn't Medio and I am in a completely different world all alone? The excitement I was just feeling was being painted over with anxiety. No, that can't be it. Anyways, calm down. Take a breath. Whew, there are things I can still do. If I try to walk off somewhere, it's possible I'll get even more lost. You are already the lostest you can get because you don't know where anybody is and you were not with them when you got here. That's pretty much as lost as you get. I'll wait here a little bit, and if no one comes, I'll walk just a bit. And checking just in case, I take out my phone, but as I had expected, no signal. Same car alarm again. I waited there for 30 minutes, but didn't see any of them come by. The weather didn't change, and the only thing I heard was the gentle sound of birds singing in a beautiful landscape. All right. I tied a handkerchief I brought to the branch of a very obvious tree near where I arrived. It's better than nothing, I guess. Someone from Enchante could pass by here, and they might notice it. Thankfully, there weren't many paths that split from here. Even if we did happen to miss each other, no one could miss this handkerchief. Next time I come to an alternate world, I should bring a whiteboard or a notepad book or something. Honestly, she should bring a camera. She could take pictures. It'd be great. I ponder that what may or may not come in handy is in an unnecessary discourse with myself. Okay, let's get going. Making my decision, I began walking along a path in this strange, distant world. Some times passed as I walked on. I squint intermediately towards the sunlight coming through the trees. I looked around at this unfamiliar world. I wonder how far this forest, I guess more of a grove, goes on for. The flower beds seem to stretch forever. Endless greenery surrounds me, robust leaves growing above in every direction resembling a verdant plumage. There are plenty of places in the human world that are full of nature. But then there's that whale-like animal. It's just floating in the sky. Dude, show me the whale-like animal. Best of all, even as a forest, this place has a feeling so unfamiliar to my world, there was still a tangible purity about it. I'm sure I would have enjoyed the scenery a lot more with everyone else. Unfortunately, I haven't caught a hint of where anyone might be. Maybe I really was tossed somewhere that isn't Medio. I really hope not. Muttering to myself and considering that possibility. In between the rustling of leaves came the faint sound of laughter. Oh, they're so cute! Wafting towards me were creatures small enough to fit in the palm of my hand. With this particular type of thing, I didn't have to wonder if they were human or not. They had pointed ears, translucent bodies, and a pair of shimmering wings on their back. Even before I stepped foot in the world, they were how I always imagined fairies.
そうよ。不思議なお客さん。
Yep, that's right, strange
変
one.
わった格好をしているわね。どこの子なのかしら。
She looks funny, doesn't she? I wonder where she is from. Careful, fairies are tricksters. You could die right now. Started to cough without cover. I'm just clearing my throat. I'm probably sick. Honestly, at this point, I'm convinced I'm sick. If there are fairies here, then this really has to be Medio. Oh, thank God. At the very least, it seemed like I evaded the worst possible outcome of being completely lost in another world. I was so relieved to see someone, anyone, that I collapsed and sat on the ground.
急に顔を隠してどうしたの？目が痛いの？
So cute. I love them. Why did you hide your face so fast? Do your eyes hurt?
それにあなた、なんだか悲しそうだわ。
You seem really sad too. Like, look at these legs. Like, dang. And the flowers. Oh my gosh. The fairies questioned me, landing on my shoulders and curiously poking at my cheeks. They're engrossed in their curiosity. I didn't detect a hint of caution from them. I could speak to them without reservation. Once you enter another world, we'll be able to speak its language and the people will be able to understand you. Monsieur wasn't kidding. Trying to resist the tickling sensation from the hands of these girls, I managed to open my mouth and say something. Oh, I'm sorry, it's okay. I was just so relieved.
安心？よくわからないわ。
Relieved? I don't get it.
ええ、よくわからない。
Yep, don't get it. Oh, well, I got separated from my friends who came with me. I was trying to find them when...
仲間？それは私たちも知ってる妖精？
Fairy friends? Do you think they're fairies that we might know? Oh, I see. Maybe these two don't understand that I'm a human or even what a human is. Well, I came here from another world through a gate. No, my species is human, but do you know what that is?
人間？
Human?
ああ、私知っているわ。石と鉄の世界でしょ？
Oh yeah, I know those from the worlds with rocks and metals,
女
yeah?
王様が見てみたいって話していたのを聞いたことがあるわ。
I've heard how the queen talks about how she wants to go visit it. The queen? I wonder who that is.
それじゃあ、あなたは異界からのお客さんなのね。
Alright then, so you're a visitor from another world.
メディオへようこそ。きっと好きになってもらえるわ。
Welcome to Medio. I'm sure you'll like it
お
here.
いでおいで、異界のお嬢さん。
This
私たちと
way,
一緒に
lady from
遊
another
びま
world.
しょう。
Let's play a little bit,
そう
okay?
よ、とっても楽しい遊び場があるの。特別にあなたを連れて行ってあげるわ。
Yeah, there's a place we play that's lots of fun. We'll make this special and take you there. Play? I'm searching for my friends.
さあ、行きましょう。行きましょう。
Come on, let's go play. Wait. Their little hands pull vigorously at my fingers. What should I do about these two? They're not listening to me, really. They're like children, just talking about whatever they want. I think if I tried to shake them off of me, they might get hurt considering the size of my hand against their small bodies. All I could do was follow the fairies as I was being pulled along. Fairies will eat you. Just to caution. What finally came into my view was crystalline water falling from so high up that its sound was almost violent. Waterfall is an understatement. It was a giant, endless cascade of water.
綺麗でしょ？気持ちいいでしょ？
It's pretty, right? It feels nice, right?
私たちのお気に入りなの。みんな大好きな場所なのよ。
It's our special place. Everyone loves this place. The wind sputters, the water sprays everywhere. With the water spraying about without end, a large rainbow was drawn across the sky. Taken in by the marvelous, fantastical scene, I stepped forward to take a closer look. When I finally came back to my senses, that's right, I'm still lost. I need to find everyone else before I can begin to enjoy how lovely all this is. This place really is wonderful, but I have to find everyone. I appealed to the fairies floating gently in the air, or at least I tried.
さあ、それじゃ異界のお嬢さん。
Alright then, lady from another world.
あなたも飛びましょ
Go ahead and fly now. Huh? I was nudged gently from behind without a moment to question. My body was thrusted up into the air. I looked down and see the bottomless basin of the waterfall rushing closer, ready to swallow me whole. I was pushed off. I said fairies will eat you. I was fully enveloped in terror before being able to understand that was what happened. Huh? What? No! At this rate, I'll die.
Master!
See, he said master. He didn't say Leah. Leah! Within the thick spray of mist, I was able to see that black suit of armor clearly. The figure that was unmistakably a knight reached its arm out and pulled me in. Canus!
遅れてすまぬ。ゆっくりと謝りたいところだが、今はこの状況を切り抜けるのが先決だ。
I apologize for making you wait. I would like to apologize more formally, but we must get out of this predicament. Get out! The lake is already...
手荒な真似をする。絶対に我の腕を離すな。
This will be a bit rough. Do not let go of my arm no matter what. As the water began to take over my entire span of vision, I lashed myself to his body, carrying my waist firmly with a single arm, I might add. He used his other free hand to unsheath a giant sword and thrust it into a cliff closest to us. My body was subjected to a violent jolt, but the speed we were falling was slowing.
もう大丈夫だ。あとは息を止めて、我に任せろ。
You are safe now. Just hold your breath and leave everything to me. Dun 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 dun. Did no one warn her that fairies were dangerous?
Master, 無事か?
Leah, are you okay? I think so. I didn't hit the water too hard thanks to your protection. Taking me by the hand, Canus guides me to the shore. My clothes were drenched and I began to wring them out. I take a look around. Were you taking your clothes off? I'm curious. I can't believe a shoreline like this exists around that basin. It was a beautiful sight, but I couldn't give myself a moment to take in its splendor when the giant waterfall almost killed me. Canus, are you okay? Are you hurt at all?
問題ない。あの程度でどうにかなるほど、やわな鍛え方はしていない。
Are these like little sweat drops on his mask? I'm confused. I am quite alright. My training has fully prepared me to handle much more than that. I see, that's comforting at least. Thank you for saving me. After giving my late thanks, Canus's flames at his neck turned into a color of
い
discomfort.
や、
Oh,
同
she
胞の
knows
無礼は
discomfort
謝罪
now.
こそすれ。礼を言われることは。
No, I must apologize for my misbehavior, for the misbehavior of my compatriots. You mustn't thank me. Compatriots? Just then. From within the spray of waterfall, two tiny figures came dancing towards us. The fairies who pushed me off into the waterfall had smiles on their faces. Even now, as we met again, they seemed like such children.
どうだった？とっても気持ちよかったでしょ？
How was that? It felt really good, didn't it?
そして綺麗だったでしょ？きっと喜んでくれると思ったの。
It was really pretty too, wasn't it? We knew you'd love it. What? I should have known that they didn't actually care about my response despite asking me, but more than
で
that.
も残念。カヌスエスパーダが来ちゃったわ。
But it's too bad. Canus Expansa is here now.
とっても怖い妖精。だから続きはまた今度。
He's the really, really scary fairy. We'll have to play another time. Making sure not to look towards Canus, they continue paying attention only to me.
それじゃあお嬢さん。また会えたら遊びましょうね。
Okay then, miss. Let's play again sometime.
今度は別の場所に行きましょう。私たちが案内してあげるから。
And next time we can visit somewhere else. We'll bring you there ourselves. They laughed and snickered as they flew off, disappearing shortly afterwards. I turned to Canus, expressing my bewilderment with his hand to his helmet. It seemed like he was about to have a headache.
すまぬ。あの妖精らは本当にあなたに対して悪意など持っていなくてな。
I'm sorry, those fairies do not truly hold any ill feelings towards you.
純粋にあなたを喜ばせようと、ただ遊んでいるだけのつもりだったのだ。
They truly wanted you to enjoy yourself. Their intent was only play. That was play?
ああ、精神が幼い妖精たちは人間の脆さをろくに知らない。
Indeed, fairies with such young minds cannot fathom how fragile the human body is.
いや、それ以前に自由気ままな性分なのでな。自分がしたいことにしか興味がないのだ。
But more prevalent than that is their free spirits. They are only interested in what they want to
そ
do.
して好きに遊んだ結果、それが何を引き起こすか考えもせず、気にも留めない。
This happened as a result of their play. They do not think, nor do they consider the consequences of what will happen. I see. They're children. They're kids who just want to play. Considering how strong they were, having that kind of innocence is terrifying. A shiver ran down my spine. I as imagined what might have happened if Canus hadn't came. After spending a few minutes with Canus, the old group I was so desperate to find finally gathered.
カヌスがいきなり駆け出した時は何事かと思ったけど、君が無事でよかったよ。
I was wondering what happened when Canus suddenly ran off. I'm very glad you're
イ
safe.
グニス、もう少し炎を強めては彼女の体が冷えてしまいます。
Ignis, would you turn up the flame? I'm certain her body is cold.
俺は焚き火代わりかよ。たく。まあ今回は特別だ。とっとと服乾かせ。
Do I look like a barbecue to you? Oh, I'll make an exception, I guess. Try to get your clothes dry already. Okay, thanks. I bring my body closer to the fire that Ignis made at a safe distance, of course. I guess this is another sort of strange power of non-humans. My soaking clothes slowly began to dry with the help of his flames.
けど、本当によかった。君がいないって気づいたとき、僕は心臓が止まるかと思ったよ。
My dear angel, also voice of Dante from PO4E. Yeah, on my first video, I started or first or second, I started searching voice actors and who they did, which I had the PO4E, so I could play that. I think my friend also owns the second PO4E, so I can steal her copy as well. Because I was gonna go through her all of her Atomi games when I was visiting her on Christmas, but I forgot to. We got so distracted. We played Jenga. It was great. It was a great time. I'm seriously relieved. The moment I realized you weren't with us, my heart practically stopped. I'm sorry to make you worry, Mr. Rindle and everyone. By the way, did you all come out of the same place?
うん。我が普段から使っているゲートの前に無事集まっていたな。
Yes, we were all gathered together in front of the gate that I usually use. So if everyone else got through the gate normally except for me, so me being separated like that isn't something that normally happens. I heard a strange noise when I went through and I felt as if I was being pulled away.
音
A
ですか？
noise? That sounds awesome. I use a board game night with my uncle and aunt. We also have other games too. That'd be fun. I bought a game and forgot to take it with us. It had like Alice in the title and it was like a story about a lost girl and it's a card game and you're trying to figure out what happened to her. I had meant to take that to our party. I forgot to, but the Jenga is a hiccups. Oh my god, is a set of Jenga that we actually drew on because I saw it on TikTok basically, where people had taken it and drawn pictures on one side and then like truth or dares on the other side. So that's what we basically made at like our last Christmas party. And we took so long to make it that we didn't play it then. So I brought it so we could finally play it. And it had been so long we forgot half the things that were written on them. So it was a great time. A
詳しく
noise?
聞かせてくれる？
Can you tell me more about it? Oh, Monsieur, let me get you started. All right, it said first. Does that sound right? From when I stepped foot into the gate until I was thrown out into the fairy world, everyone listened with serious expressions on their faces. I explained what happened.
妙だな。 ゲートは幾度も利用しているが、今までそんな現象が起きた覚えはない。
I'm just special, I guess, Canus. That is quite odd. I have used the gate several times, but I do not recall such occurrences ever happening. Just to be clear, I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his name correctly by thinking of Khan from Star Trek, which is like Kane. So Canus, but like my brain isn't working that way. So it's Khan. And you go, ah.
俺もねえな。妖精界は接続が不安定とか、そういう話じゃねえのか。
Me neither. Do you think the connection to Medio is just unstable?
まさか、そのような危険があれば、とっくに皆へ話している。
That cannot be. If such a danger were present, I would have discussed it with everyone well before.
GPM でも報告例がない現象だね。
The GPM was unaware of this too.
彼女が人間だからでしょうか。
Could it be because she is human? But he is human too.
それも考えづらいね。だってそれなら、普段から異世界探索を仕事にしてるうちの調査班は、
Look at Eel's top, like, that is so low. No, I doubt that. A bunch of our personnel have been investigating other worlds. They would have reported something about that. Monsieur, do you know why this might have happened?
いや、俺にもわからないけど、
No, I don't know anything.
一つ言えるのは、今後もし君が通ることがあれば、気をつけた方がいいってことだね。
What I do know is that we should be careful when you travel through a gate in the future.
誰かと手をつないで入るとか、警戒するに越したことはないと思う。
Just like holding someone's hand while crossing the street, no harm being careful. Right? At the end of our conversation, we were no closer to knowing what was the case. The eerie noise, that terrifying sensation of being pulled away somewhere. I didn't want to feel that again.
にしても、お前といい俺らといい、こっちに来てから災難続きだな。
To be fair, I guess he has the way, way lower top. Look at the two guys that almost bear it all. Like, his is so low you can see his belly button. Like, well, whether it's you or us, it's been a disaster after disaster ever since we got here. Huh? Something happened to you all too?
お前ほどの不運じゃねえけどよ。
Yeah, wasn't as unlucky as your deal what though?
どうもイグニスや私はこちらの世界では本来の力が出せないようでして。
It appears Ignis and I can't use our powers to their full potential in this world. Huh. Once we finished, I looked over Eel and Ignis. It didn't seem like there was much difference with Eel, however. Ignis, is it me or is the flame around your body weaker? Ignis gave me a disgruntled frown as I made my observation known.
異世界同士の交流。僕も報告書では見たことがあったんだけど。
More interesting that this is their first time visiting this world, because if it wasn't their first time visiting this world, maybe that could be a hint that something weird's going on. If they had their previous powers the last time they visited. Why is this side of my hair look less cool? I know my hair is straying, but dang. Exchanges between alternate worlds. I've seen some reports of this
どう
before.
も人外たちは自分の故郷以外の異世界に来ると若干弱体化しちゃうみたいなんだ。
When it comes to traveling to other worlds, non-humans visiting worlds other than theirs have been known to be weakened slightly. Whoa, really? I glanced towards Monsieur.
あははは俺は例外影響ゼロ
I am the exception, zero change here.
世界の垣根すら超える最強チートな魔王様ってねどんな世界も楽勝で壊滅だぞ
I'm the demon lord whose cheating powers surpass even these walls between the worlds. I can wreak havoc in any world I like.
僕としては君に一番おとなしくなってほしかったよ。
And here I hoped you'd be the one who was weakened the most.
また当然ながら、メディオを故郷とする我は、従前の力を発揮することができる。
And of course, this being my home world, I can exhibit my full strength here within Medio. Canus moves his body, producing the tough, steadfast sounds of a mighty suit of
本
armor.
来ならば、我の足の速さは、イグニスに劣るのだが、
Normally, I'd be falling behind Ingus when it comes to speed.
速攻で置いてかれたぜ。くそ。こんなんじゃ喧嘩売られても思う存分暴れられねえじゃないか。
Yeah, this guy left me in the dust. Shit, I just realized I couldn't fight like I do if someone tried to start some. I feel like you shouldn't be visiting other worlds trying to fight people. But it makes sense to me. It's why Canus, who was the one who was able to rush over to me first.
私は少々飛びづらくなった程度ですので、そこまで不便はしていませんが。
As for me, my ability to fly has been hindered slightly, but it isn't so burdensome.
やはり原因は世界を構成する物質や循環エネルギーが異なるせいでしょうね。
I suspect it's because of the differences in the elements that make up this world and the energies that flow here. I tilted my head in response to the odd choice of words that came from Il. Canus and Monsieur followed up with some more information to clarify.
俺たちのアスモディアでいうところの魔力かな。マナとも呼ばれるけど、わかる？
Yeah, I've played video games before. I know what mana is. I guess that might be what we in Osmodia refer to as magical powers. Some might also refer to it as mana. You know what that is? Magical powers, the power source for demon magic. It also is known as mana and ether. Aether? Well, yeah. That's what people in games and stuff use as a source of power for spells, right?
そうそう。魔界や魔族はその名の通り、魔力で世界やその身を構築するんだけど、
Yes, demons in the demon world are constructed out of these same magic.
メディオの場合、魔力とは違う別の力が世界を支えるエネルギーなんだよね。
But in Medio's case, there's a different sort of energy at the foundation of this world, correct? Canus gives a single
とはい
nod.
え、明確な故障はないがな。自然の恩恵がそのまま世界を安定させている。と考えるべ
That
き
said,
か。
there's no proper name for it. Perhaps it's best to think that this balance of the world is a gift from nature.
ベスティアには多分んな小難しいもんなんて存在しねえぞ。特に意識したことねえけどよ。
We don't have anything so complicated like that in Bestia, although I guess I've never taken the time to think about it.
であれば、イグニスの場合はエネルギーがある環境に不慣れなのでしょう。
Then in that case, you may not be used to environments that hold this type of energy within them, Ingus.
例えるのならば、
Ignis.
濃密すぎる空気に参っているのでは？
It is as if you're being weakened by an atmosphere that's too dense for you.
ああ、そりゃあるかもな。
Yeah, maybe
こ
so.
こに来てからずっと甘ったるい匂いがしてて、胸焼けしてるみてえなんだよな。
You know, I've noticed that there's been this sweet smell ever since we got here. It feels like I have heartburn. I see.
しかし例外的に人間界ではあまり能力が劣ることはない。不思議なものだな。
It is worth noting that our powers do not seem to weaken as much in the human world, a special case, but not quite strange.
まあまあ、そのあたりの原因究明は置いといて、ちょっと真面目な話をしようか。
No, we don't need to go and figure all of that out right at this moment. I think we need to have a serious chat. Now that my clothes had dried, Mr. Rindo began to speak with a stern
さっきは
voice.
不運が重なったこともあるけど、異世界の危うさは理解できたでしょ。
Leah, maybe this was bad luck, but you do see how dangerous other worlds can be, yes?
比較的安全。そう言われるメディオだってこれなんだ。僕たち人間の常識は何一つ通じやしない。
This is Medio, which is a world that people consider to be generally safe one. Our common sense doesn't
異
apply
世
here.
界を知るという意味なら、それを理解しただけでも十分じゃないかな。
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I haven't seen anything. We're gonna have a friggin' picnic, KO. You wanted to learn more about alternate worlds, and I think you learned more than enough for today,
もう
so
アンシャンテに帰らないかい？
how about we go back to Enchante?
危険な目に合わせた身としては反論できん。あなたが望むのならば
As
す
the
ぐにでも
one
引き返すが。
who brought you into danger, I cannot argue. If you wish to go back, we will return immediately. They all seemed to wait for my word, as I was seen as a victim in all that had happened. No one spoke. I was silent. Let's not go. The little fairies just pushed you off a cliff because they wanted you to fly. It's like, what's that part? The mermaids that tried to drown Wendy and Peter Pan. They just wanted to drown her a little. Fine. It really was a terrifying experience. If Canus hadn't made it in time, I honestly believe I could have died. Knowing I could run into more fairies like those two out in our travels, just the thought. As beautiful as the scenery around me was, it was equally terrifying. You will not be separated from these guys again, will you? Grandpa himself always stayed at Enchante. He never left to visit another world. Being the new owner of the cafe doesn't mean I need to visit my patrons' worlds, and yet... I'm sorry. I was apologizing, but it wasn't for what had happened. I want to stay a little longer.
それはまたどうして？
But why? Well, if I leave right now, the trip will end with me thinking that Canus's homeworld is scary, and I just don't want that. Also, the only reason I had that experience was because I was alone. If everyone else stayed with me, I'm sure my impression of this place would change.
リンド、君が彼女と同じ感性を持つ人間だっていうのなら、
Rindo, you're a fellow human that can relate with her sentiments.
友人の故郷を悪い思い出だけで埋めたくないって彼女の気持ちは理解できるんじゃない？
She doesn't want to have any bad memories of the home of her friend. You can understand how she feels, right?
それは。
Well, is he not a normal human? I'm just curious because, like, they kept going, he's just a regular old guy. He's just a normal old guy. That's just a normal guy right there.
それに危険だったと言ってもやや高所から落下しかけただけでは？
Also, we say it was dangerous, but truly all that happened was that she had a little fall, right?
いや、それだけではないが。
No, that's not exactly
また
it.
先のような強制隔離では致し方ないのかもしれませんが、
Another instance of being forced apart may be
こ
unavoidable.
うして我々が揃っている以上、彼女に危険が及ぶという事態は想定しづらいものだと判断します。
However, I assume it would be difficult for her to encounter such danger again as long as we are all with her. Ill?
つまり箱入りが言いてえのは、俺たちが全員揃ってりゃ危険もクソもねえだろって話だ。
Yeah, what that shut-in over here is trying to say is if we stay together, who gives a damn about any danger out
ガネス
there?
お前だってそうだろ。自分がそばにいるなら同じような目には合わせねえ。だろ。
Canus, that goes for you too, right? As long as you're with her, you won't let anything happen to her, right?
ああ、当然だ。我がそばにいる限りは必ず守りきると保証しよう。
Of course, I vow to protect you every moment I am with you, no matter what. Canus looks right at me as he spoke. Does he? How do you know? Canus, thank
こちら
you.
こそ我が故郷を理解しようとしてくれて礼を言う。
I must thank you as well. I am honored that you would attempt to know my homeland.
あなたが望むのならば引き続きこの世界を案内するとしよう。
If you so desire, I will continue to be your guide through this world. Please, no one else knows this world. Canus bows his head deeply in respect, with his whole body leaning forward, putting his hand to his chest and giving his pledge. He was the perfect image of a loyal knight. Ooh. Eventually, Mr. Rindo was also persuaded to come along as well, so we would continue our journey in Medio. But we would first need to choose a meeting place in case we got separated again. We walked to Medio's gate, which I missed earlier since I was separated from the group. And if our group gets split up again, I just need to come back to this spot. Knowing that makes me rest easy. Wow, there really is a gate here. It looked like a painting. Seeing the gate standing in the woods, I wasn't sure, but it almost looks like the one at Enchante. Actually looks exactly like it.
カエルムにあるのも全く同じデザインですね。
The one in Kelm has an identical design as well.
ベスティアもだな。
Bustia too. I see. These gates connect us to other worlds. I understand how amazing they are now, having gone through one myself. It's still a mystery what they really were. What I do know, however, is that they are very rare, such that only one exists in every alternate world. The gate of the world where the regulars come through all connect to Enchante. Yet, gates in other worlds are connected to places other than the human world, or so reports from the GPM. Why there are several in the human world, yet only one in each alternate world. Also, why these gates in particular are fixed to only go to the human world. Investigations on this are inconclusive. The gates seem to be unknown to non-humans aside from Monsieur and the group, and because of this, other non-humans haven't used them. It's given Alice in Wonderland vibes. The TV show specifically. In the TV show, which is from like the early 90s, late 80s, I don't really remember, Alice in this story has a looking glass in her room that leads her to Wonderland specifically, which is where they got their inspiration. And then she goes and meets a bunch of costume charactered Alice in Wonderland characters, which is why I'm obsessed with Alice in Wonderland, I might add. I watched that as a kid. As I was contemplating these curious things running through reasonings, I overheard.
では、ここを起点とし、進むとしよう。
Now let's proceed with this as our starting point. Pretty! Oh man, I saw a Las Vegas show. It's called Ka, and this looks like the room almost, except for the grass. It was more metal. It was like steampunky. Cages set around, and they were connected like this. So that's super cool looking. After deeming this the meeting spot, we set off. With Canus leading the way, we entered the forest once again. Wow, this area is so different from where I was. The spot I was in seemed much more level.
へえ。ってことはやっぱり俺たちとはかなり離れた場所に放り出されたんだね。
Huh, I guess you were spat out somewhere pretty far from here
通
then.
りでマスターを探知するのに時間がかかったわけです。
That makes sense now. It took so long to detect you,
み
Leah.
んな、足元に気をつけてくれ。この辺りは道が細い。
Please watch your step, everyone. The road becomes narrow here. Watching my step after his warning, the eerie sound of wind getting sucked in the valley below batted at my ears. I'll be careful.
ま、仮に落ちても3回に1回は助けてやるよ。
If you do fall, I swear I'll save you at least 1 out of the 3 times that you do. I hope you'll save me the other 2 times too, please. I'm sure if I fall even once, I'll be headed straight into the afterlife,
あ
though.
リンドウの場合は追加で有料な。
Oh, but Rindo, my service will cost you.
僕だけ冷遇しすぎじゃない？
It's a bit rude, isn't it? I took a moment during our playful chatter to look at the scenery above me. Flower petals were dancing in the wind, seemingly full of life, grazing the branches. Wow, if it wasn't so dangerous, Medio would be such a serene and gorgeous place. As I was lost in thought, Canus stopped.
うん。ちょうどいい時間だな。そのまま見ているといい。 面白い光景が見られるぞ。
Seems like appropriate timing. Keep watching, you may see something interesting. Something odd began to happen around me. The seasons were changing instantly. I was speechless as the trees around me began changing colors one after another.
おー、すごいすごい。
Ah, pretty cool.
葉が一斉に変化を。これはどのような仕組みで？
The leaves are suddenly changed colors. How does that work?
このメディオと人間界では時の流れがいささか異なっている。春夏秋冬といえばわかるか？
The flow of time differs between Medio and the human world. Let's consider the 4 seasons.
メディオという世界は朝につぼみが開き、昼には葉がより青く染まり、
In
夕方
Medio,
に紅葉を迎え、
flowers bud in the
夜の冬
morning.
景色に散っていく。
Their leaves are verdant by noon. Their colors show at dusk, and the land is winter by night.
なるほど。人間界の1年をわずか1日で繰り返してるってことかな。
Fascinating. It's like an entire year, and the human world happens in just one day here.
では、夏の流星が見て取れる今は昼に近い時間というわけですね。
In that case, since it appears that summer is ending, that should mean it's close to noon now. Oh, wow. The fairies were in evidence enough that this place was completely abnormal, but time flows here in such a way that makes an entire year pass by in a matter of a day. Fairies lived among the twisting branches and the trunks at the center. This feeling of wonder keeps sinking in as I walk, the fact that this world is one that doesn't follow the conventions of my own.
メディオを満喫しているようで。
I'm glad that you're enjoying Medio.
あなたが客人を連れてくるとは正直驚いていますよ。カヌス・エスパーダ。
I'm honestly quite surprised that you would bring guests here, Canus Espada. I hear the sound of leaves being crushed. Standing there was a figure with androgynous features who didn't seem to belong to either gender. However, their beauty was completely ruined by the expression shown. They seemed ready to express how disgusted they were feeling.
はあ、ようこそいらっしゃいました。見知らぬ世界からのお客人。
Guest from an unknown world.
僕は妖精女王に仕える宰相のベンニーア。あなた方の来訪を歓迎します。
I am Chancellor Vinia. I serve under the Fairy Queen and I welcome you all here.
おい、あいつ今舌打ちしたぞ。
Hey, this punk just sneered at us.
歓迎だそうです。どうやらこの方は私たちに友好的なようですね。
We're being welcomed, it seems. I believe this person's expressions of friendly sentiment towards us.
いやいや、絶対違うから。こんなに嫌そうな歓迎します。僕聞いたことないよ。
No, there's no way that's true. I don't think I've ever received a more unpleasant welcome in my life.
いいえ、そんなことはありません。歓迎します。しますとも、表面上は。
She's got, or they have a butterfly on their waist. Oh, that's not true. I welcome you. I really do, on the surface.
たとえあなた方がどう見てもうさんくさい色物の集団であろうとも。
Even if you all seem like a crass, annoying bunch, I will have to deal with.
女王陛下の命令である以上、しっかりと歓迎いたしますよ。
I truly and honestly do welcome you happily under the orders of Her Majesty the Queen.
絶対嘘じゃん。面白いな、この子。
Oh, what a lie. This one has a sense of humor. It was an impressive scene. Everyone looked like they were at loss for what to do. It was Canus who finally spoke out to them.
ベニーア、女王の命令とは？
Vania, what do you mean by order of the queen? A fairy of Medio with an androgynistic appearance, the chancellor serving the fairy queen. Although polite, Vinia has quite a sharp tongue.
そのままの意味ですよ。
It's just as I say.
女王陛下が異世界からの客人に会いたいと大変血迷ったことを言っておられるので、僕がここに来た次第です。
Her Majesty the Queen has gone completely insane, insisting she wants to meet the ones from another world, hence why I am here. They're from the same world, and I was sure they knew one another. Vinia's shoulders droop as Canus asks his questions. Her Majesty the Queen? Little fairies mentioned her. That's right, those fairies from the waterfall also mentioned something about the Queen. Maybe they got ratted out. Oh, so would you say that Medio is under the rule of a monarchy?
ああ、この妖精界メドは妖精女王と呼ばれる者が全ての妖精を束ねているのだ。
Right, the one known as the Fairy Queen rules over all the fairies here in Medio.
つまりその女王様から直々のお誘いってこと？
Huh, so we're being invited directly to see this queen then.
だからそう言っているでしょう。言語の理解力か頭の中身に致命的な問題でもあるのですか？
That's what I've been telling you. Is there some issue with your brain's ability to understand language?
なんだろう。ものすごく心が痛いな。
What was that for? This person doesn't seem so nice inside. Yeah, they speak with elegance, but what they actually say is
と
horrible.
いうことで、誠に勝手ながら、僕についてきていただけますか？
That being the case, I request you follow me if you must feel inclined to. Everyone turns their gaze towards me. I want to meet a fairy queen. Let's follow Vinia. I could hear the ghost of my old boss yelling in my ear. Never turn down an invite from a higher up. Alright. She's going out of her way to invite us, so I'll happily accept the invitation.
女王もきっと喜ぶであろう。快諾を感謝する。
I'm certain the queen will be delighted, and I thank you for accepting.
妖精界メディオを統治する存在。すごいな。そんな行為の方に謁見できるなんて。
The being who rules the Fairy World Medio. That'll be amazing to have an audience with someone with such a high ranking.
現金な反応で申し訳ないけど、こればかりは滞在を選択した君のおかげだね。
Sorry, my response seems so selfish, but this is all thanks to you, Leah, and your decision to stay here.
アンシャンテのマスターとしても、あなた個人としても、有意義な出会いであればいいですね。
Not only because of your role as the owner of Enchante, but as an individual as well. I hope this will be meaningful for you. Yeah.
ああ、これは失礼。しかし、空気の読めない返事を誠にありがとうございます。
My apologies, but thank you so much for not understanding what I was trying to
断
say.
ってくれればいいもの。まあ、いいです。行きますよ。ついてきてください。
You should have just declined, but oh well, let's go. Come with me, everyone. Am I gonna get arrested? Is this a bad ending? Vinia didn't want us to be summoned, but had no choice as it was an order. Vinia, while expressing their attitude in every way except the words they spoke, began to walk away. Am I gonna get us all killed? Are we gonna get locked up? Vinia showed us the way, but I could really tell they detest doing it. In any case, following Vinia's lead, we proceed further into the woods. Canus seemed very happy about this, or Canus. The temperature had dropped suddenly. Medio was tinted in a crimson sunset hue. As the sun continued to set, we traversed steep slopes and crawled over wooden walls, barely getting by after the other continued to help me. Vinia finally stopped. Aw, it looks better in color, honestly.
さて、着きましたよ。
Alright, we're here.
たく、やっとかよ。
God, finally.
現状までに歩いた距離などを試算すると、かなりの高層階と見ましたが、 メディオの建築技術は独特なのですね。
Judging just from how far we walked, we must be at a considerate altitude. Medio's architecture is quite unique, yes?
森の散策っていうより山登りって感じだったね。明日筋肉痛じゃないといいな。
Felt more like hiking up a mountain than a little walk. I really hope my muscles aren't too sore tomorrow.
ほんと、ここまでだいぶ歩かされたね。体力とか体調は平気？
Seriously, that was quite a distance to make us walk. Leah, how are you doing? Okay, I think. Though my legs feel like sticks right now. Taking Monsieur's hand to support myself, I stood a second. Took a second to manage my breathing.
こう言ったらなんだけど、僕たちを連れて行くのが嫌すぎて、諦めるのを待ってるのかと思ったよ。
Not sure if I should say this, but I think Vinia was just waiting for us to give up. They really didn't want to bring us here.
失礼な。ここ妖精界メディオには、当然ながら、妖精でなければ本来通れない場所が多くあるのです。
How rude. It should be obvious, but here in Medio, there are many places inaccessible to those who aren't
それ
fairies.
を、あなたたちの都合に合わせて誘導して差し上げたのですから。
In fact, I
むしろ、
guided you in a way that
感
would
謝
be
していただ
best
きたい。
for you. You should be thanking me. Now that I finally caught my breath, I took a look around where we were. There, I couldn't quite tell what this place was we were in inside the fairy world. The space we entered seemed like there was just large hole gouged out especially for it. It was a strange place with large flowers blinking with light strewn about. The scenery outside should look like fall if I remember correctly, but this space alone looked like spring. As I was looking around,
マスター、女王に紹介しよう。こちらへ。
Leah, let me introduce you to the queen. This way. With Canus pulling my hand, we proceeded to the center of the open space, and there.
おお、そなたたちが客人かえ？
Ah, so you're the visitors. In a gentle, wafting breeze, made with this girl's smile, it felt like the air surrounded us became infinitely sweet. It was like a throne of flowers.
妖精女王、ティターニアよ。彼女がアンシャンテのマスター、ソーアン殿の孫娘だ。
Fairy Queen Tatiana, this is Enchanté's owner, the granddaughter of Soen Awaki. In these gorgeous surroundings was enthroned a small queen who was much smaller than what I had imagined.
よう来たな。わしの名はティターニア。この妖精界メディオにて女王を務めておる。
I'm glad you made it. My name is Titiania. I'm the queen of the fairy world. The fairy queen who rules Fairy World Medio. She has the form of a cute young girl, but her speech and atmosphere are both dignified and graceful.
会えて嬉しく思うぞ。アンシャンテのマスターよ。
I am happy to be able to meet you, owner of Enchante. The little girl laughs cutely in a snicker. She looks as young as a child in grade school.
ご挨拶を。
Introduce yourself. It's nice to meet you. Canus always takes good care of me at Enchante. I'm Leah Awaki. I had no idea how to greet her properly. Not only were we in an alternate world, but I was in front of royalty too. I pitched forward as far as I could, bowing deeply for an eternity.
お世話されておるのか。それはまた面白い話を聞いた。のう、カヌス。
So he's taking care of you? Quite an interesting fact, don't you think, Canus?
いや、決してそういうわけでは。
No, I don't think so at all.
なんじゃなんじゃ。ずいぶんとよそよそしいの、カヌスや。
Oh
客
my.
人の前だからと格好をつけとるのか？
You're being quite cold, Canus. Is it because you have guests? I raised my head and assumed that Canus is being teased in this conversation. He doesn't seem pleased about it.
後ろの者たちも カヌスより話には聞いておるぞ。皆個性豊かな客人たちなのだとな。
You all back there, I've heard of you as well. Everyone seems so very unique.
少々豊かすぎる気もしますがね。
A little too unique, I believe.
魔王に打天使、魔獣に中年。まとまりのない者たちです。
A demon lord and a fallen angel, a demon beast, and an old man. Quite an odd group.
あれ待って、今僕の略称だけおかしかったよね。
Wait a second, old is a bit much, don't you think? Mr. Rindo's comment was ignored by Vienna. As Monsieur stood next to me, he asked Titania a question.
それで女王様は俺たちのことをいろいろご存知みたいだけど、
So the queen seems to know a lot about us.
ここに俺たちを呼びつけた理由は、インギン無礼で面白いそこの子からは特に理由とか聞いてないんでね。
Why did you call us here? The kid with the superficial politeness isn't exactly giving us much to go off of. Superficial courtesy. When words and attitudes are overly polite, it can be impolite or even rude. Also, one can act polite on the surface, but actually be looking down upon or disliking the other. In Vienna's case, it is certainly the latter. Monsieur, she's a queen. You should speak more politely to her.
ねえ、そこ気にする？というか忘れてるかもだけど、一応俺も王様だからね。
Really? That's what you're worried about? You know, don't forget that I'm also technically a king, okay? Watching me in my panic scolding Monsieur the Queen, Titania snickers in a laugh that sounds like a ringing bell.
いやいや、自然な口調で構わぬよ。異世界の者に権力も何もあるまい。
I don't mind if you speak to me naturally. My authority doesn't extend to you at all.
では質問に答えるとしよう。来てもらったのは他でもない。少し話をしてみたいと思ったのじゃ。
Now then, allow me to answer your question. The reason why I asked you to come here is solely to talk.
話ですか？我々と？
Talk with us?
さようじゃ。あのカヌス・エスパーダが友人と呼ぶ面々がこの世界に来た。
Precisely, the ones that Canus Espada calls friends who have come to this
と
world.
なれば挨拶の一つもしたくなるのは当然の流れじゃろ。
Of course, I'd want to at least have a chance to greet them. Titania quickly glances at Canus. However, Canus just continues to watch over us, not responding in any way.
まあそれを別としても、メディオはめったに客が来ないこともあり、来ればもてなすものと決まっているのです。
Regardless, considering Medio rarely gets visitors, it's only obvious we show you some
好
hospitality.
奇心旺盛な妖精たちにとって異世界の話というのは最高の娯楽となりますから。
Tales from other worlds of our fantastic entertainment for curious fairies.
マジかよ。てめえの態度はもてなすって単語とは程遠いもんだった気がするんだが。
Seriously, I'm not sure your attitude is exactly screaming hospitality at us, you know.
そんなバカな。僕としては誠心誠意のおもてなしをしましたが。
Oh, I know it's difficult, but don't be an idiot. I've been as earnest as possible concerning my hospitality towards you all.
あれが誠心誠意。誠実だな。
Earnest? I'm not sure I'm sold.
ということでの。もし時間が許すのであれば、ぜひそなたたちの話を聞かせてほしい。
So this is where we're at. If time should allow it, I do hope you'll be able to tell me more about yourselves.
なるほど。それなら俺は特に反対する理由もないし、彼女がいいと言えば構わないよ。
I see. Well, we don't have any real reason to decline, so if she's good with it, it's fine by me. I look towards everyone before speaking. Everyone either shrugs or looks away, uninterested, leaving it up to me. Glancing around at everyone, I open my mouth. Alright. From Titania, how do I put it? Although her appearance was youthful, there was a sweetness she exuded. I didn't feel the tiniest bit of ill will towards us. Yeah, but you also said that when two fairies pushed you down a hill that was actually a waterfall. Most of all, she was kind. She was just simply kind. Even in this unpredictable world, I've been able to hold a nice conversation with her. I felt like she was simply just a good person who I'd like to get to know better. We can answer what we're able to, although it may not be much.
そうか。ではしばし待っておくれ。
Oh,
宴の場
really?
を設けるとしようではないか。
Wait just one moment, please. We'll prepare a banquet then. She must really want to talk with us. With a smile on her face, she nods and everyone around us begins to shake. Oh, everything, not everyone. What's going on? As if responding to Titiana, several small branches grew out from the walls and floors. The innumerable branches twisted together, changing their shapes. The area around the center of the room became adorned with new furniture, with a huge table, huge long table, and several chairs appeared around us. Wow, amazing!
これは興味深い力ですね。私やミシェルが行使するものとはだいぶ異なるようですが。
What a very interesting power. It seems quite different from what Monsieur and I can do.
そうであろうな。ティターニアは木の力を借りているだけに過ぎぬ。
I would believe so. I gotta scooch back up now that I've crossed my legs. I'd believe so. Titania is borrowing powers from the tree. I keep trying to change it to a different name. So does that mean she can manipulate plants at will? Canus nods in affirmation.
さあさあ、お客人よ。好きな席に着くといい。
Now then, my guests, please sit where you'd like.
それぞれ喉でも潤しながら、おのおのの話を聞かせておくれ。楽しみじゃの。
Please partake of your drinks as well as we talk and discuss your wonderful tales. I'm so excited. With her offering, we move to the seats closest to us, however.
いや、潤しながらっつってもコップの中身空じゃねえか。
How are we supposed to partake in drinks when these cups are empty? A disgruntled Ignis picked up a wooden cup that was placed on the table. It should be a capital I, but he really did check that it was empty when he picked it up. He flipped it over.
ははこれはつまりあれだ。霞でも食べてろ。的な。
What is this? You want us to drink the air around us?
そんなわけがあるまい。妖精は基本的に食事をせぬものじゃが、客人に茶を出す文化ぐらいはある
Of
ぞ。
course not. Fairies don't eat or drink usually, but serving tea to guests is in our culture. As Titania spoke in a faint smile.
あら？さっきのお嬢さん。
Huh, it's the lady from before.
さっきはごめんなさい。女王様からたくさん怒られちゃった。
Sorry about earlier, the queen yelled at us a lot about it. Huh, oh, it's you two. My body suddenly froze, but watching them bow so sincerely, I felt like I needed to forgive them. Maybe this is just a human sentiment. Oh, I'm sorry too for not explaining to you what humans are. Good morning, Sleazy. All the emoticons. If we get a chance again, I hope we can do something safe after we're all done talking here, of course.
わかった。わかったわ。
Okay.
次は何をして遊ぼうかしら。
What should we do next time? I've got a bad feeling. Do they really get what I was trying to say? Along with arches of lights, many other fairies came into the room. They take several of the flowers blooming around us in hand and fly towards me.
どうぞ。甘くてとっても美味しいのよ。
Here you go. They're sweet and really good. They began to tilt their flowers over and they began to fill our cups with nectar.
さて、大したもてなしもできぬが、歓迎しよう。異界からのお客人。
Now then, although we can't provide much, we welcome you guests from another world.
妖精界メディオの宴。どうかゆるりと楽しんでいくといい。
Please relax and enjoy this banquet courtesy of the Fairy World Medio. Not sure I trust it. The room echoed with laughter of the fairies and the petals were dancing about. As the petals fall to the floor, they rise up again and continue to move up and down. That was as if they had minds of their own.
よければおかわりをどうぞ、お嬢さん。
Am I going to be murdered? Have some more, lady.
ねえねえ、人間界ってどんなところ？
Hey, hey! So what kind of place is the human world?
暑い？寒い？狭い？広い？
Is it cold, hot, small, big? The human world, it's a fairy banquet is something you might see in a fairy tale, but actually being here in one, only words of awe come to mind. You can't help but just be captivated by the glittering fairies no matter how many times you look at them. I lost track of time continuing the banquet with fairies flying about, and I just want to push myself ever so slightly this way. Okay, great. I lost track of time continuing the banquet with the fairies flying about as they pleased. I'm gonna die. I feel like they want me to drink so I get sick or something. Thanks to Titania, my negative perception of the world starts to change. Maybe I should try to talk more with the fairies while we're here. Though the fairies were happily flying about this way and that, so it seemed a bit tricky to get one to stop and chat. One seemed to hold still for a moment, surveying around closely when I saw.
なあ、お前らって強えのか？
So are you guys strong or what?
強いって何？
Strong? What's that mean?
あ？そりゃ、なんだ。敵をぶっ飛ばせる力のことで。
That's well, power to send your enemies flying away. And...
敵って何？
Enemy? What's enemy mean?
敵ってのは、自分に喧嘩売ってくるやつのこと。
Enemy is someone who wants to fight you and...
喧嘩って何？蜜よりも美味しいもの？
Fight? What's that? Is it tastier than nectar? Ingus hangs his head in defeat from his failed conversation with the fairy. Smiling to myself, I walk over to him.
なんなんだあいつら。まるでガキを相手にしてるような気分だったぜ。
What the hell's up with these things? It's like talking to little kids. Well, Canus did say those small fairies have minds like small children. Maybe they'll be more happy talking about what you do for fun.
なんで微妙に詳しくなってんだ。お前あいつらに殺されかけたんじゃなかったのかよ。
How'd you get to be so chummy with them? You remember that they almost killed you a little while ago, right? Exasperated, Ingus places his emptied cup on a table close to him. Hey, where's Mr. Rindo, by the way? I thought he was with you.
ああ、あいつなら撮影会の真っ最中だぞ。
Oh, him? He's in the middle of a photo shoot. A photo shoot? I look towards the direction Ingus gestures at.
変ないいところ、変な音が鳴ってる。
Oh, that's neat. What a weird sound coming from this plank.
おお、いいね。もっとこう、くるっと踊るように回ってみて。
Ah, nice. Very nice. Could you try to spin around, kind of like you're dancing? Like this? Whee!
いや、バッチリだよ。これは開発班の連中が泡吹きそうな記録になりそうだ。
Oh, that's perfect. The guys at R&D are going to be foaming at the mouth when they see this. I'm sure Mr. Rindo intended to be working diligently, but he's just looked a little like a weirdo. We all spent our time just as we wanted, including myself. Oh, in a corner of the room, I saw Canus leaning against a wall and watching our festivities. Canus, I feel like I haven't seen much of you this past short while. I didn't know you were here.
ああ、あなたか。宴は楽しめているだろうか。
It's you. Are you enjoying the banquet? Yes, very much. The hall is so beautiful and the nectar from the flowers is so delicious. And I feel like I've been able to let go of my fear of the fairies bit by bit.
そうか。ならば何よりだ。
I see. I'm glad to hear that. Kana seemed to sigh under his helmet, looking at his hands. He also wasn't holding a wooden cup. Canus, have you actually been over here the whole time?
ああ、我があの場に混じっては空気が悪くなるだろうからな。
I'd only sour the mood by joining. Sour the mood? Sure, Canus wasn't the most talkative type, but he also took part of Enchante's tea parties. It's not like he doesn't do well with these kinds of events.
マスター。
Leah, what is it? I was so lost in thought that my response was
どうや
late.
らティターニアがあなたを呼んでいるようだ。
It
話し
seems,
相手になってはくれまいか。
it seems Titania is calling for you. Would you mind speaking with her? After his comment, I looked down the hall to see. My eyes locked with hers as Titania sat on the throne of flowers, giving me a gentle smile.
カヌスと話していたというのにすまぬな。
I'm sorry I interrupted your conversation with
し
Canus.
かしどうしてもそなたと二人きりでゆっくりと話してみたかったのじゃ。
I just had to talk with you quietly for a moment alone. As I slowly walk towards her, Titania greets me with a smile like blossoming flowers, a bit of a distance away from us. Standing there motionless was the one who called themselves her Chancellor, Vinia. The silence is spooky, but first I should talk to Titania, who called me over. I just wanted to thank you for welcoming us so graciously. I truly appreciate it. I apologize for not greeting you sooner.
そうかしこまるな。そして最初に言うたであろう。自然な口調で構わぬと。
Oh, don't be so stiff. And I told you before, didn't I? You can speak naturally with me.
あの魔王相手でも敬語抜きで話しておるではないか。わしにも同様に接してほしい。
Even the Demon Lord doesn't talk with me with any sort of formality. I'd like it if you do the same. Are you sure? She looks small, but the way Titania expresses herself has a regality to it that is undeniable.
もちろん様付けもいらんぞ。ついでにベンニーヤのことも適当に呼ぶとよい。わしが許す。
And no need for titles either, and you can address Vinia however you like. I will allow it. Vinia clearly slumped their shoulders, likely hearing what she said. Okay then, Titania?
うむうむ。やはり同じ女子に親しく呼ばれるのは嬉しいものじゃな。
Yes, yes. Oh, it makes me so happy to be called so casually by a fellow girl. Titania nods, satisfied and smiling, and my anxiety had melted
カ
away.
ヌスはアンシャンテでうまくやっているかの？
Is Canus doing well at Enchante? Yes, I was a bit surprised at his appearance when I first met him, but I'm completely used to it by now. He's a very honest and caring person, liked by plenty of other
そ
humans.
うか。ならばよい。
I see. That's wonderful.
淡き宗安といったか。亡くなったというそなたの祖父ともども、アンシャンテには深く感謝しておる。
So on Owaki was it? I have deep gratitude towards your late grandfather and Enchante. Gratitude?
あの店に行くようになってからカヌスは随分と丸くなったからの。
Yes, after Canus started visiting that cafe, he has calmed himself quite a bit.
そなたが継いでからの日常もこと細かく聞いておるぞ。
I've heard all the details about his life there after you took over. That might be embarrassing. I hope he doesn't go into too much detail about all my failures in particular.
許してやっておくれ。
Oh, please forgive
それ
him.
だけカヌスにとってあの店で過ごす時間は色濃く
It
愛
just
しい
shows
ものなのじゃろ。
how deep his love is for the time he spends at that
そな
cafe.
たのことを語るときも随分と優しい声色をしておる。
He speaks highly of you as well and always in such a happy tone. I see. I'm still just a half-baked cafe owner, but I was proud to continue protecting a place that Canus cherished enough to talk about so much with others. Leah,
少しばかりこちらへ来てはくれぬか。
will you take a moment and walk with me? As long as there's no ledges, let's go. Okay. I walked with her just as she
そ
asked.
なたたちの大切な場所を皆に愛されるアンシャンテという場所を
This place you all hold so dearly, I'd like you to show it to me.
見せて
This
おくれ。
cafe everyone loves so much, Enchante. I suddenly realized her small hand was grazing my cheek. And Titania's face slowly closes in on mine, and with a small bump of our foreheads touch each other. With a bright light and a sweet scent, my consciousness was taken somewhere else completely. We in Enchante now. There's someone there, sitting in front of Grandpa, a really big person, someone with real hard-looking clothes on.
そうあんだろ。
Lord Soran.
なんだよ。エスプレッソが冷めちまうから、とっとと飲め。
Yeah, come on, hurry up and drink your espresso. It's gonna get cold.
いや、飲みたいのは山々なのだが、店の奥から視線を感じるのだ。
I would truly like to, but I sense a gaze coming from deeper within the cafe.
あの柱の陰に隠れている小さな生き物は何だろうか。メディオの妖精に少々似ているが。
What is that small creature hiding in the shadows of the pillar? It seems like a fairy of Medio.
はあ？生き物だ？なんだよ、うちにはネズミなんて。
A creature? The hell? We don't have any rats here.
あ、そうか。お前人間の子供を見るのは初めてか。
All right, this must be the first time seeing a
子
child.
供
A child?
今度はテーブルの下に隠れてしまったが。
It appears to have hidden under the table.
うわははは逃げられちまったか。まあお前はその首なし状態と全身の鎧をなんとかしねえとな。
She got away from you, huh? Well, I'm sure we got it. Gotta do something about that no-neck armored situation of
あれ
yours.
だ、鎧に合わせてよ。適当に兜でもかぶればいいんじゃねえか。
Alright, maybe just grab some kind of helmet that matches your armor.
それこそ騎士っぽいじゃねえか。
Then you'll look like a real knight.
兜をかぶることにあまり意義を感じぬのだが、それがこの世界の断りならばそうしよう。
I do not see much significance in wearing a helmet or appearing like a knight, but if this is a customary, I will do so.
おお。ん？いや、なんか物騒になっただけな気もするが。まあいいだろう、それで。上出来だ。
You somehow got a little more menacing, but good enough, not bad. Grandpa looks like he's having fun. Is that big person having fun too?
ん？どうしたよ。
What's up?
そうか。あれが人間界の子供。
I see. So this is a human
生ま
child.
れた瞬間から性質も可能性も決められている我ら妖精とは大違いだ。
Considerably different from our fairies, being beings whose nature and possibilities are decided the moment they are born.
素晴らしいな。あの魂からは無限の可能性を秘めた輝きを感じる。
This is wonderful. I feel the shining light of endless possibilities within that soul. Is that person Grandpa's customer too?
うん。またこちらを見ている。
It's looking this way again.
なあ、その、うん。我は怖くないぞ。
Do not be frightened, okay?
お前は子守に向いてねえな。
You'd make a terrible babysitter. Little Leah meets Canus. Yeah. Yeah, I have to. Say hi. Back, I'm back. In a snap, the world around me changes back. As I blink my eyes, the image of Titania's gentle smile became clear before
ぶ
me.
しつけにすまぬな。わしとしたことが少々はしゃいでしまったようじゃ。
I'm so sorry. It seems I got a bit carried away. Huh? Did you do something, Titania? Titania. I can do it. I felt like my mind went blank. It didn't feel like anything really happened, but Titania didn't respond
良
to
い
me.
場所なのじゃな。アンシャンテという場所は。
It seems like such a nice place. This lovely place called Enchante. She closed her eyes as she muttered softly, but I noticed. Titania, it's almost like you're a parent worried about their child.
それはつまり、わしがカヌスの親のようだと？
Do you mean I'm acting like Canus's parent? Right. Well, I suppose if I judge you by your looks, it would be the opposite. Sorry, that was rude of me to say. Titania laughed, shaking her
い
head.
や、気にすることはない。あながち間違ってはおらんからの。
Oh no, don't worry
わ
about
し
it at
は
all.
すべての妖精を見守る存在じゃ。
You're not exactly mistaken. I exist to watch over all fairies.
事実、カヌスが生まれた時から、わしはその生き様を見守ってきた。
In
人
fact,
間界の親と似たようなものじゃろ。
in fact, I've watched over Canus since the moment he was born. It's not unlike a human parent, I presume. What? You're older than Canus?
妖精に年はあまり関係ないがの。
Yes, age isn't much of a concern amongst
そ
fairies.
して、わしが長生きというよりも、カヌスが妖精の中でもかなり若い方なのじゃ。
It's not so much that I've lived long, but more like Canus is quite young compared to other fairies. Huh, so does that include those small fairies too?
そうさな。すべてではないが、中にはカヌスの倍以上生きているものもおるじゃろうな。
Right. Although not all of them, among them, there are those who've lived over double the time Canus has. However, what a difference. Titania watches me pleased as I react to every little thing she says. However, all of a sudden, a shade cast upon her adorable
だ
smile.
からこそ、わしはカヌスのすべてを見てきた。
This is why I've watched over Canus for the entirety of his life. Her sleeves, though, they're giving.
それこそ、あやつの嘆きも苦しみも。
That's why I know it grieves him, why he suffers. Titania?
いや、すまぬ。昔のことを話していたら、少々感傷に浸ってしまってな。
My apologies. It stirs up great emotions to consider the happenings of the past.
どうかこれからも、カヌスをよろしく頼むぞ。
Now I got Titania's permission. Alright. Leah, please take care of Canus for me.
ああ見えたあやつは、いわゆる寂しがり屋というやつじゃからな。
Though he may not look like it, he is very prone to feeling a little lonely. That's the sort of being he is. Okay, I can do that, but Canus really gets lonely.
少々茶目っ気を含めて言うただけで、あやつが孤独を嫌うのは事実じゃ。
I phrased it like that to be playful, but he honestly dislikes being
叶
alone.
うならば、わしもそばにいてやりたいが、わしはここを動けぬ身じゃからな。
I'd like to be by his side, but I simply cannot be away from this place. Titania speaks in a saddened smile and taps her feet lightly. You mean because of your role here?
であればよかったのじゃが、物理的にな、わしはこの場を動くことができぬ。妖精女王というのはそういうものなのじゃ。
It would be better if that were the case, but physically I cannot leave this place. That's what it means to be a fairy queen. I asked my question nonchalantly and was surprised by her reply. The queen became one with the throne, bound to it for the rest of her life. No way.
あ、すまんな。余計な話であった。それに、これは名誉なことでもある。そなたが気にする必要はないのじゃ。
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk about it. It's still an honor to hold this position. You need not worry about it. Titania smiles. It's true, she doesn't seem necessarily crestfallen by the situation. Hey, Titania, is it okay if I come back? I'll bring some coffee from Enchante if you'd like to try some, maybe taste some of Canus's favorite.
もちろんじゃ。いつでも歓迎するぞ。
But of course, you're welcome anytime, Leah. The queen of the fairy world, Medio, was far more than the child she appeared to be. She was in fact a dazzling, splendid woman. With sleeves that are like super fun. Like, look at this. This is a much larger hoodie than I should have gotten, by the way, which is why it's so big on the shoulders. But the sleeves are fun. I continued to talk with Titania. After our conversation ran its course, I returned to where she met me. Huh, Canus isn't here.
カヌスなら会場から出て行きましたよ。
Canus has left the hall. He likely
お
won't
開きになる
return.
までは戻ってきません。
He likely won't return until the party ends. Vinia spoke from behind as they had followed me here. He won't. How come?
不吉だからです。
He's an ill omen. What? After expressing my confusion, Vinia further explains in a dark, ominous
黒
tone.
騎士、カヌス・エスパーダ、別名を死を告げる妖精。
The Black Knight Canus Espada is also known as the Fairy of
彼
Death.
はあまたいる妖精の中でただ一人死を司り象徴するもの。
Out of all the fairies, he's the only one who rules over and symbolizes death.
あらゆる妖精が恐れる不吉の象徴。故に本来は祝いの席には姿を見せません。
He's a bad omen who all other fairies fear. He can't be seen at a celebration. I wasn't fully able to take in what they meant, and my mouth was agape. An ill omen? The Fairy of Death? We're gonna flashback to when
で
he...
も残念。とってもと
Scary. He's scary. I remember the fairies that ran away as Canus arrived. That's right. He himself said it. There was something similar in one of the books Grandpa left. Dullahan, a fairy with the appearance of a headless knight found in Irish folklore, arriving in a carriage pulled by a headless horse, he leaves only after someone's death. The Dullahan in the book was illustrated so menacingly, although how it differs from Canus, I guess I'll never really paid attention. So that means he removed himself because other fairies are afraid of
え
him.
え、そういうことです。
Yes, that's exactly it.
そもそも祝いの席でなくとも僕や陛下以外に他の妖精とは言葉を交わすことすらないでしょうね。
Even if it wasn't a celebratory occasion, no fairy would ever speak to him other than myself or Her Majesty. That must mean Canus is completely alone out here in the fairy world he calls home.
えたやつは
We don't do flashbacks. I remember my conversation with Titania just 5 seconds ago. Thinking about how alone Canus always feels, the expression on my face darkens.
会場を出て右方向。螺旋に続く階段を登った先です。
Exit the hall and turn right, then head up the spiral staircase.
カヌスの居場所ですよ。僕はそういった気配をたどるのが得意なので、気になるなら好きにしてみればよいかと。
That's where Canus is. I am quite self-aware, contrary to what you think. You should go see him if you wish. Thank you.
別に。女王陛下もあなたを買っているようですからね。他のみんなには僕から適当に話しておきます。
Her Majesty the Queen seems to hold you in high regard. I'll let everyone know where you went.
それと、時間的にそろそろ足元が滑りますから、せいぜい転ばないようにしてください。
Vinia cares if we fall to our death. Oh my god. Vinia, like, hi, like, how you doing? At this time of day, the ground is slippery. Please do be careful not to fall. Okay, Vinia, you got me. Well, on the path that Vinia directed me along. Whoa. The air grew colder and colder, and tiny snowflakes began to fall. My body shivered as the cold brushed along my cheeks. My feet crunched along the road, now covered in snow in a matter of moments. Wow. I came out to a clearing where there was a breeze. Within the gentle whirl of snowflakes, I see the back of a large figure.
マスター、
Leah. Canus, I'm glad I found you. And a sigh of relief, I walked towards Canus.
なぜこんなところに妖精の宴に参加できる機会など上妙なものにはめったにないというのに。
Why are you here? There are very few that have the opportunity to participate in a banquet of the fairies. What about you? Why are you here?
我は特にこれといった理由はない。強いて言えば少し休んでいただけだ。
I have no particular reason. If anything, I'm just resting. I see. I got a little tired too. Can I rest here with you?
そちらがいいのならば我は構わぬ。
If that's what you wish, I do not
も
mind.
っともその間気の利いた話など我が用意できる保証はないが。
Although while you do, I cannot guarantee I have anything to talk about that is adequate for this occasion. It seems like you were a bit down ever since the banquet started.
そうか。
Do you truly think so? Yeah. Canus looked down as he spoke. His mood seemed to mirror the scenery we found ourselves gazing at. What can you see from
見
here?
てみるか。この世界そのものが見えるぞ。
Would you like to see? You can see the entire world itself. Did he mean something philosophical by that? I felt like Canus laughed a bit just now. I didn't understand what he meant, but looked out carefully. I saw in the darkness and dancing
見えたか。
snow.
これが妖精界メディオの全容だ。
Can you see it? That's all of the Fairy World Medio. What? All this time I thought we were deep in a forest abundant with trees. I was wrong. What I thought was a forest, it was just a bunch of branches and leaves. Medio's all a single tree.
その通りだ。妖精界メディオとはたった一本の世界樹からなる世界。
I wanted a faraway shot of it, but I'd take it. Exactly, the Fairy World Medio is comprised of a single world tree.
道も壁もすべてこの世界樹の一部。ああ、あなたが落ちた大幕府すらこの世界樹のほんの一端。
The roads, the walls, it's all part of it. Even that waterfall is just another part of the world tree. Yggdrasil?
樹上を流れる一滴は言い過ぎかもしれないが、そういった一面に過ぎないのだ。
Just a drop falling from a tree branch, maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but that's truly all it is. In other words, what I saw as trees were sprouts. Roads were just branches. What a scale, it's just so big.
驚いているな。
You seem surprised. Of course I am. I never imagined a tree could be an entire world. Probably surprised by my reaction, Canus, as if looking at something pleasant, smiled, or at least I think he
ここ
did.
は樹間。山で言えば山頂に近い部分だ。
This is the canopy, something like a summit to a mountain.
そしてこの妖精界で我が一番好きな場所だ。
It's my most favorite place in all of the fairy world. So this is your favorite place. Coming back to my senses a bit more, I looked where Canus was looking. I could see something that seemed like lights blinking in the distance. Atop the branches, at the crown of the trunk, those sprouts must be where fairies of Medio reside. Maybe it's because of its wintry look, but Yggdrasil, covered in snow light, was World Tree, an enormous tree that shrouds the entire fairy world. It's so large, it's like the world in itself. It is quite noticeable even in the fairy world. It was beautiful. I felt this feeling so often ever since I arrived here, but this moment now was truly the most beautiful moment of them all. It kind of makes me happy. What does? That you've shown me your favorite spot. I still don't know all about you. Maybe it's just my feelings, but I'm happy.
そんなことはない。我もこの景色をあなたが見てくれて嬉しいと思う。
Well, that is not true. For me, this view is... I'm happy you can see it too.
我が美しいと思うものを共感し、褒めてくれるのは嬉しい。
I'm happy you understand its beauty and can appreciate it for that.
だから、そうだな。偶然だとしても、今ここにあなたがいてくれて。
Even though it was by chance, I am happy that you are here with me. It's not by chance. I wanted to see you. Canus. Vinia mentioned this, but I heard you never go near any celebrations and that others are afraid of you. That you're a bad omen that governs death.
ああ、話を聞いたのか。
So you've heard.
だが、気にするようなことではない。我が恐れられるのは、
You don't need to worry about me. It's only natural that they fear me.
死を恐れるというのは、生物ならば誰もが持つ本能。メディオの妖精とて、例外ではない。
To fear death is a natural instinct held by any living creature. The fairies of Medio are no exception.
いや、むしろ不老不死である分、より得体の知れぬ恐怖が増すのかもしれん。
In fact, they may even be more afraid as they are immortal beings.
であれば、そんなものを与え回る象徴である存在の我を恐れるのは、至極当然であろうさ。
It is more natural that they fear me, the one who embodies the symbolization death itself.
納得がいかぬ。
You do not seem pleased. I wonder why. Yeah, I mean, Canus was just born into that role. It's not like he became the symbol of death because he wanted
良いのだ。
to.
我には、あなたやアンシャンテの仲間がいる。我には、もったいないほどの理解者たちが。
It's alright, I have you and those at Enchante, friends who understand me. It's more than I deserve. But as I tried to contend with his words, Canus gently grabbed my wrist.
それよりも、
And more importantly,
せっかくここに来たのだ。一つ、我の秘密を教えよう。
since you've come all this way, I will share with you a secret of mine. Huh? Canus leans in right to my face. His helmet vanishes into thin air. He pulls my hand, and there was nothing but empty space.
わかるだろうか
Can you feel it? But there was a gentle warmth there. I could feel it faintly in my palm. It's so strange it feels warm.
驚くかもしれないが我は首なし騎士と言われるが
It may surprise you, but even though I am known as the Headless
実
Knight,
際には見えないだけで我が首はここに存在しているのだ
and you can't see my face, I actually do have one.
目も耳も鼻も見ることも触れることも決して叶わぬ存在だが
Eyes, ears, and a nose. They can never be seen nor
確
touched,
かにここにあるのだ
but they really are there. I never knew that. Trying to prove what he said was true, Canus gently guides my fingertips. So this must mean, although I can't physically feel it, I'm touching Canus's face. Oh! I almost feel like I'm doing something wrong here. Canus, this is a little embarrassing.
まだだ
Wait,
もう少しこのままで
stay like this a moment longer. Canus wanted to stay close.
顔が見えなくて助かった
Yeah, but I get the vibe that you're probably blushing. I'm glad you were unable to see my face. Huh?
あああなたからは見えないだろうが
Although you may not be able to see
今
it.
の我の頬はここからの景色をあなたと共に見られた喜びで緩んでいるのだ
Right now, I feel like I look so happy to share this view with you. Do we get his face at the end? Do we get to see what he looks like? Does he have a face? Is that the final CG for Canus?
とてもではないが見せられる顔ではない
I'd be too embarrassed for you to see, even though you can see mine. Canus speaks with joy in his words as I mutter about it not being fair. Although
全ては伝わらぬだろうが言わせてほしい
Although I cannot convey everything I feel, I would still like to say this. When you kiss his face to try to aim on to his invisible lips, you might accidentally land on his nose or something. Kissing his eyeball accidentally. Like, I don't know what she's supposed to be touching right now because this looks like she'd be touching his neck, not his face. But what do I know? I guess he'd have to lead in any kisses. Although you can't feel it. It's invisible. I'm quite curious. I'm more curious. That does not help me. I have more questions now. Although I cannot convey everything I feel, I would still like to say this.
感謝するマスター我の孤独に不服を抱いてくれて
I'm thankful for you, Leah, for embracing my loneliness. Oh man, that sounds depressing. Is this just a game of depression?
言葉で伝えるしかないというの
Is
は
everyone sad
実
here?
際に抱いている感情の
We have
半
a
分も伝わらない
Canus, I'm talking. We have a fallen angel who was exiled from his planet, most likely for some reason. He is the bringer of death, so his planet doesn't like him. I feel like there's something going on with the demon lord because we don't know actually anything about his planet. He might not actually be a demon lord. Kyo has abandonment issues, it feels like. And the guy who's like, what, 47, which by the way, we're 19. Just putting that out there. What's his deal? I still don't understand it. No comment? You're in for a ride? That's so messed up. It's a game of depression. This is a depression simulator. I knew it. Ugh, I feel so limited to only be able to express how I feel in words. I cannot even convey half of the feelings within me. No, it's okay. I understand them. Do you? Makes me really happy to hear you need Enchante. And me. I think that's the best compliment you could ever give the cafe, to be honest. So I hope you keep coming by Canus, Espada. In the peaceful fairy world Medio, he is the sole governor of death, known as the Fairy of Death. Due to this being so ominous, other fairies keep their distance from him.
それは我のセリフだと思うかな。今後ともよろしく頼む。
Wait, is her hair not pigtails? This whole time I thought she had pigtails, but from this angle it looks like it's just a back ponytail that she has cascading over both her shoulders. I have apparently made a mistake. I should be asking you to keep inviting me. I hope we can continue just like this. I look towards the face I could not see, and we share a chuckle together. I gently laugh that could contest the joy of the banquet being held far away. It's like, can you feel my face? Interesting. As rays of morning light urge me awake, small birds sing out on the wire. It was a morning a few days after our visit to the Fairy World Medio. I moved to start the day of cleaning. Was in the middle of wiping the tables. Phew, that should do it. I should be just in time for opening at this rate. Cafes truly are so busy in the mornings, but I was getting into the swing of it. Checking all the expiration dates on the food in the storage the morning opening. Gathering all the trash from the day before and rushing out to throw it all away. On the weekdays, receiving deliveries from vendors. When you think about what needs to be done to open shop, you just begin to wake up early. It was a huge difference from living at home where I'd always sleep in to the last minute. Still, even though I make everything look nice, it's not like any new customers will come by. Dropping my shoulders with a listless smile, I wring my towels and keep cleaning. Well, that's not important anyways. Okay, once I'm done here, I need to clean the storefront and water the plants. Since Canus has those flowers he's been growing in the backyard garden, I wonder if decorating with these would be fun. I cleaned for another 5 minutes or so. I finished polishing the table enough to pat myself on the back for it. So shiny! With some time to spare, I continue my cleaning frenzy to the far room. It wasn't used very much, but that's no excuse to be lazy about cleaning it. It still needed to be done. I mean, here it is, the other entrance to Enchante. It hasn't ceased to amaze me. The scene I saw was only a week before. It was still burned into my vision. Yggdrasil, literally a giant tree that covered an entire world. A world that quickly waltzed through the 4 seasons, a world of fairies. And also the fairy queen, Titania and Veneer, who served at her side. Is that spelled right? That doesn't look like the spelling of the person's name. Thinking back to that day we walked across that world, my hands slowly come to my chest. The home of everyone here. World of fairies, demons, beasts, and the heavens. Beyond this door, there are so many worlds to see. I want to go to them. Honestly, I could feel the desire within me. Going to the fairy world and taking just a glimpse of all of its wondrous sights probably triggered this feeling. The charm of another world with things unbelievable in my normal life was pounding at my chest. Unseen worlds, unseen sights, and the people I've yet to meet. By making new acquaintances one after another, And if those people would come to Enchante, I'm sure that would be a marvelous thing. Except for the Fairy Queen, because she's bound to her seat. Place for someone to be, huh? This place I already call my own Enchante. If this cafe could be a place like for them, for Monsieur and everyone else, I'd be happy if it could be for others too. And for that to happen, yeah, I've got to do my best. First, I have to become an amazing owner, one step at a time. Urging myself onward, I turn away from the gate and begin walking away. Feeling like I heard something, I turn back and listen carefully. But I didn't hear any noise after that, and instead...
あれ今日はお出迎えのサービス付き
Oh, are you starting a greeting service today? Monsieur, who just happened to arrive, gave a pleasant smile. Oh, welcome. I guess I just imagined that. Nah, Yassir's definitely a monster of some kind. He's been literally waiting for you. It was a really peculiar sound, though.
そこのかわいいマスターさん。一応の開店時間までもう時間ないけど大丈夫
So, my adorable little owner, isn't it? There isn't much more time until the cafe opens, but are you okay? You're right. That's right. I didn't have time to just stand there. I tie up my apron and walk off, pumping myself up. All right, I'll do my best today. Gonna get to 5 figures in sales. What does that even mean? Trying to get $1,000? You have
私たちが
4
メディオを
patrons.
訪れてからもう4日、5日、1週間ですか。
It's been 4, 5, about a week since we all went to Medio, hasn't it? Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that much time has already passed. I can still remember everything that happened there so clearly, how the seasons changed and...
あれは実に見事でした。試しに SNS にアップしたところ、閲覧数が大変なことになりましたよ。
What? It was quite splendid. I uploaded it to social media to see how it would happen. The views went simply crazy. You posted it? What an other world look like? Oh my gosh. What an alternate world look like?
それでか。帰ってから延々と林道に説教食らってたのが。
Oh, that's what happened. I was wondering why Rindo was yelling at you after we got back.
うちの天使様はどこまでも人間界に毒されてるな。
Oh, just how badly has our angel been poisoned by the human world? A simple black coffee, carbonated until bubbly, with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. A menu item with ice cream floating on coffee for fans of sweets and bitter coffee. The bitter coffee and sweet ice cream is a perfect match. Okay. The three of them talk amongst themselves while taking sips of their drinks. It seems like they were still excited about visiting a non-human world, as if it was their first time. And maybe it was.
いや、けど別の世界って感覚久々だったよ。人間界に初めて来た時もそうだったけど。
Still, I haven't been to another world in a while. It felt like coming here for the first time.
なんつうか、当たり前にてめえらの顔見てるせいか、そいつの世界に行くとか考えたこともなかったからな。
You know, seeing the faces of all you jerks doesn't exactly give me the urge to go check out where y'all grew up. The time came where I'd normally want to close the morning menu. The regulars were talking with excitement about Medio throughout the morning. I can understand how Il feels. It was definitely a sight you'd want to share with other people.
その通りです。私は人間らしい行為をしたので。
You're not a normal human,
つまり
Il.
無罪ということですね。
You're a angel. I just did what a normal human would do. Therefore, I was completely innocent. Well,
まあ、とりあえずそこは大丈夫でしょう。ここは異世界ですとかコメントしたわけじゃないし。
we're probably okay though. There, it's not like he captioned it saying it was
そ
another
れで
world.
さ、実際どうだった？こことは違う世界に行ってみての感想。
So Leah, what do you think about going to another world? Monsieur blindsided me with his question. Il and Ignis both turned their faces towards me, waiting for my reply, and a silence fell over the cafe. Let me think. Of course, I even doubted their entire existence at first. Then it was scary. But coming back here after visiting one, if I were to put it into a single word, I think it was fun. Traveling to an alternate world, what I saw and touched, what I heard and felt, I would have never come across those things if I continued my old lifestyle. So if it's possible, I want to tell the old me who thought my old work was the only life I could possibly have. Maybe you don't have to go to another world, but there are so many things you could change if you just lifted up your head. I let out my feelings after thinking it over thoroughly. And I'm Enchante's owner now. This time, we only went to Canus' world, but being able to learn a bit more about everyone like this makes me happy. Monsieur gently smiles as I answered him.
そっか。君にとって今回のことがプラスに
Monsieur,
働い
you're a
たなら
monster,
何より
man.
だ。
You're the bad guy. Yes, I understand. I'm just glad that the experience for you was a positive one.
君たちも現マスターがより俺たちに関心を持ってくれて嬉しいんじゃない？
Aren't you both happy too that our current owner's trying to take interest in us? Ignis looks a bit off to the side as Il smiles as he usually does.
ああ、まあなんだ。少しはアンシャンテのマスターっぽいんじゃねえの。
Ignis, don't be mean to me. What if Monsieur killed our grandpapa? So that we had to come to Enchante. No? Too dark? I don't know, we'll see. Well, you know, just means she's gotten closer to what Enchante's owner should be, right?
ええ、これも愛につながる一歩なのでしょう。やはり互いを知ることは重要なのですね。
Oh, Il, you're the best. This is yet another step towards the bond of love. It is indeed important to know about each other. I look on as everyone chattered away happily. My face loosens into a smile. This really is nice. I feel like this sight has become natural to see for me. Although unfortunately, Canus and Mr. Rindo weren't there. But even with demons, angels, or humans, everyone gathers here in peace. Carrying over more coffee, I joined from time to time in the conversation. I'm sure that this is what Enchante was really supposed to look like. I'm sure it was what Grandpa saw that made him smile. Grandpa, I'm sure he wants to see this sight forever and ever. A bit saddened by the thought, I closed my eyes. Just then, what disturbed the silence was the sound of the doorbell from the rear entrance. Oh, welcome.
おう、リンド。ちょうど今、あの首なし鉄仮面の。
Oh, Rindo, we were just talking about the headless suit of armor's...
首なし鉄仮面
headless suit of armor?
は？
As everyone turned around, the clamorers actively came to a sudden halt. Everyone turned their gaze. These days, the only regulars that would be using the rear entrance was Mr. Rindo. Or so I thought, but standing there wasn't the usual Mr. Rindo that we all knew. It was a much younger boy. He looks cool. He looks like Yuki. You should fight him. He's got a thing around his neck. Who are you?
どちら様ってお客様のつもりだけど。
Who? A customer, I
この
hope.
店営業してんだよね。表看板出てたけど。
This place is open, right? There was a sign up front. Of course, welcome. My heart was jumping around so much that I almost forgot to show him a seat. Glancing at me, the boys sit at the counter and open a menu.
じゃあこのアイスコーヒーの M サイズ。
Okay then, hit me with this iced coffee, medium. Oh, please let me know if you have any preference on how it's brewed.
よくわかんないし、お任せで。
I'm not savvy with that, you pick. Understood, please wait a moment. Oh god, a new customer? I, of course, was warned that this would be possible. It is true that delivery trucks and public service people can get to the cafe.
何？
What's up? Oh no, it's nothing. My behavior came out as nothing else but awkward to this unforeseen circumstance. Meanwhile, I looked over to see if Monsieur and the others were just as taken aback as I was. Well, yeah, I should have guessed as much. There's our smiling demon lord and the relaxed fallen angel as normal as can be. Ignis seemed like the only one who was a bit nervous, just like me. It seemed he was glancing at the new customer back time to
偶
time.
然の来店でしょうか。であれば数年ぶりの出来事ですが。
Do you think he just happened to arrive? This would be the first time in years.
前回は、ああ、そうだそうだ。四天王がどうのこうのって女の子だ。
Last time was... Oh yeah, that's right. The girl who talked about the four
い
lords.
やー、自分で言うのもなんだけど、アンシャンテの即席結界はあらが多いね。
Seriously though, it should have been one... I shouldn't be one to talk. Enchante's barrier's got a lot of holes in it, huh?
笑って済ませていいのかよそれ。とりあえず普通の客ってんならほっときゃすぐに帰るだろ。
Y'all really gonna laugh it off? If he's just a normal customer, he'll go home soon if we just leave him be. The fact that my regulars talk just like normal without lowering their voices at all filled me with fear. Fortunately, he was fiddling with his phone and didn't seem to notice the conversation between the regulars. Although, he's staring at me really, really hard. Now that I think about it, I had always been prepared to just get the cafe open, that I have no idea how to do customer service. Anyways, I just have to not be rude. Be quick and serve with a smile. Here's your iced coffee. Thanks. I was complimenting myself on the inside for not spilling anything. I finally realized that it was just how nervous I was. So, when a new customer comes in and sits at the counter, am I supposed to talk with him? No, but it's possible they'd feel I'm just bothering them. With my hands open, I went to wash the dishes, and while I was frowning at myself, letting out a small groan.
いや、隣いいかな。
Can I sit here? Huh. Before I knew it, our demon lord sat in the seat right next to the boy.
え、まあ、はい。
Huh, sure. See his necklace better. It's the same color almost as the things on his. Honestly, color-wise, they're a bit of a color swappy. He's got braids in his hair. He's cute.
ありがとう。マスター、ブレンドコーヒーちょうだい。
Thanks. Hey, owner, can I get a blended coffee? Okay, I'll bring it right away. What is Monsieur doing? I just hope he doesn't say anything weird, and right as I think that...
それで君は人間に見えるけど、実はそうじゃないってタイプ。
So you're the type that just looks like a human but actually aren't, right?
は？
Huh? The young boy's confusion spills out. What made that seem 100 times more intense was probably my own feelings. Ignis seemed to share my sentiment. He's gasping and coughing, made it all the way to here to the counter from his seat. Hey, Monsieur... I tried to cut him off, but Monsieur gave me a quick wink to suggest he had it all under control.
お兄さん、見た目もあれだけど、中身もやばい感じの人なの。
Hey, mister, I know you already looked the part, but are you crazy on the inside too?
まあ、やばいかやばくないかで言うとめちゃくちゃやばいね。なんたって俺、魔王様だから。
Well, if you're asking if I'm crazy or not, I'm super crazy. I'm a demon lord after all.
そういう意味で君もやばい存在じゃないのかな。
But I get the hunch that you're plenty crazy yourself, wouldn't you agree?
急に気温が下がりましたね。冷房でも入れたのでしょうか。
The temperature just dropped, didn't it? Did the air conditioner turn on?
あ？冷房なんぞ。うわ、なんだ？足元なんかめっちゃ冷てえぞ。
Air conditioner, isn't it? Whoa, what the hell? My feet are freezing. What's happening? Phil and Ignis seem to be making a fuss, but for now I should stop the water I was running and go over and listen to what Monsieur's talking about. I was taken aback by my realization. The water is... Stop, it actually... What's going on? The entire faucet just froze.
なるほど。君ってさ。
I see. Could it be that moment? The little boy slapped a 1,000 yen bill onto the counter and ran out of the cafe. Huh? Thank you! But what about your
あ
change?
らら、せっかくの人外同士仲良くしようと思ったのに。
Oh man, and here I was hoping to get along as fellow non-humans. Stretching out the wrinkled bill, Monsieur rested his chin on his hands. A non-human?
そういう時、本当に普通のお客さんが入る場合もあるから、資格を含めてきちんとマスター修行をするのは無駄にはなら
Thank
ない
you for sharing this. Ah, thank you for joining. Bass Jack. Welcome, welcome. When that does happen and we have others here, it might be useful for you to have these permits as well as general barista knowledge. But what are those requirements?
まあその辺は別の機会にでも説明するよ。とりあえず現に君はリンド。
Okay, that's just a flashback. We don't do flashbacks. I thought it was. I just thought maybe it was new information. They like to trick me and treat it like a flashback, but then put new information in it. The barrier, and that was one. By just knowing that Enchante exists, its name, address, and heading to it. I mean, that's how I get here. I just use a map app. That's how deliveries and other services can get here too. Two, that you're a non-human with powers that outdo even Monsieur's and Eel's own. It seemed like that boy just happened to come by and come in. I think the first condition wouldn't apply here. So then I'd have no idea just by looking at him. The second option seems like the one, so he was another non-human. He was one too?
そうだね。この辺の飲み物とか、あとはその水道とか、意図的じゃないにせよ、彼の力が原因かな。
Yeah, the drinks around here and the water piping, maybe unintentionally, but it was him. Monsieur picks up the iced coffee that was completely frozen solid and flips it upside down.
来店した時、なんかモヤモヤしたものを背負ってるなとは思ってたけど、彼、半分半分ってとこなんだろうね。
I had this feeling there was something bugging him the moment he entered the cafe, and I guessed right, more or less. Although I still had questions towards Monsieur's vague explanation, the first thing I needed to point out was, you acted like you wanted to be friendly, but it didn't look that way at all. A demon lord can't come up and start messing with a kid who looks like he's in school. I decided to caution Monsieur and his overly aggressive interaction.
俺そんなに感じ悪かった？すっごいフレンドリーににこやか爽やか営業スマイルのつもりで。
Did it seem that bad? I had the most kind and happy friendly smile on.
いやいや、控えめに言っても貴様人間ではないな。化けの皮を剥いでやろうって聞こえたぞ。
Right, and you didn't just tell him that he wasn't a human and that he wanted to rip off his skin.
私も右に同じです。
I must agree.
あれそんなつもりはなかったんだけどな。魔王様、ちょこっとショック。
Really? I didn't mean to come off like that. I'm a bit shocked at myself. That said, the curtains closed on the panic brought by the sudden visitor ended with the visitor leaving on his own and not getting to enjoy his nice iced beverage. Yeah, okay. Don't worry so much, Mom. It's okay. I'm doing all right here. I feel like this is worth much more than the work I was doing before, and Grandpa's friends are helping me out. And the customers that come here are good people. Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, I'll come by when things settle down. I'm working now, so I'll call you later. Hmm? Phew. Sorry for the wait. It was just after 5 in the afternoon, around this time when the setting sun rays come through the cafe, all the regulars are about doing their own things. I droop my head with Canus and Mr. Rindo sitting at the counter and get back to work.
いや、構わぬとも。あなたの家族からの連絡だろう。
It's no problem. You were talking to your family, right? Yeah, it's been about 4 months now since leaving home. Just a call to check if I'm doing okay over there.
離れて暮らす一人娘か。親御さんは心配だろうね。人外のことを伏
Yeah,
せてる
but
でしょ
I lived with my grandpa for 4 years because my parents were too busy for me, so I think it's fine. An only child living by herself. I'm sure your parents would be worried if they knew about the non-humans, right? Well, for now, I just avoid it. But I feel I'll need to tell them the truth at some point. Why? I'm sure my mom and dad would make a fuss. I think it's okay to leave it for now.
まあ、喫茶店経営だけならまだしも、男が複数人宿を借りることもあるっていうのは伏せておきたいよね。
Well, even if you consider this a normal cafe job, there are guys living here renting rooms. You'd want to hide that part too. Yeah.
なぜだ？
Why is that?
アンシャンテに宿泊する際、我らは特に問題を起こしてはいないと思うが。
I do not believe we ever caused much of an issue when we spend time here at Enchante. The armor-clad knight disputes the point, shaking the head he didn't have side to side. Looking away from where I thought his face would be, I muttered quietly, you know, I'm sure no one really conscious about it, but I'm a girl. Canus, you are all men.
つまり、
And that means, you know, it'd be easy for my folks to misunderstand.
ん？
He's from the Fairy World. Mr. Rindo, stop laughing and help me.
でもそこがわからないからこそ、カヌスらしくていいと思うんだけどな。
I think it's very Canus of him not to really understand. In any case, we end our conversation. I take their orders. Okay, Canus, you want a fruit smoothie, and Mr. Rindo, an Americano. An Americano, the blackest of black coffees, short for American coffee, made by running plenty of hot water through lightly roasted beans, giving it a refreshing taste. I'm gonna say this right now. I only drink iced coffee with so much sweetener in it. Like, I want sweet cream flavored coffee because I don't really like the taste of coffee, so ugh. The Americano might take a bit more time. Is that okay?
もちろん、この時間のお客さんは僕たちだけみたいだしね。
Of course, it's not like there's any other customers right now anyway. Thank you very much. Oh, that's right. Speaking of customers, suddenly coming to mind, I begin to speak while heating some water. This happened yesterday, but a white-haired boy came in, and then all the
我
taps
々以
froze
外の
over.
客が入った。
A customer sights from us came in. Right, I was like, oh no, in panic. The two men were both out yesterday, so it was a good opportunity to talk about it. I tell them of the boy that suddenly just came into the store, and the two looked at each other in
それは
bewilderment.
また、随分と珍しいな。
It's quite a strange thing to
ア
happen.
ンシャンテの結界の特性上、そういったことも可能性としてありえない話ではないが。
Although it's not impossible considering the properties of Enchante's barrier. Also, according to Monsieur's judgment, the boy seemed like he was a non-human.
おお、それは。驚きの連続ってやつだね。
She's not mentioning the fact that the taps froze and that his drink froze solid and that none of them possess that power, so it's obviously he is a non-human unless he's just a person with like real strong waves. Well now, one surprise after another, I see. Right, though I don't know if it was by his powers, but for a moment yesterday the hyping and everything had frozen over. If you just look at him, he seemed like a normal boy. That made me even more surprised. Did it though? After sharing the information I had, Mr. Rindo muttered behind the steam of his Americano.
と言ってもさ、昨日だけの来店なら単なる偶然で片付くんじゃない？
With all that said though, the only time he's come by was yesterday. Isn't it simply a
僕
coincidence?
がここに来るようになった数年の間でも何回かはそういう偶然があったって話は聞いてるし。
There's been plenty of coincidences like that over the years. I've seen coming here, so I've heard.
そうだな。GPM のように店を襲撃してくるわけでもなし、特に気にせずでよいだろう。
It's not like he comes to attack the cafe like the GPM has. I'm sure we can play it no mind.
その説はご迷惑を。
Oh, come on. I said I was sorry. It's true, Canus is right. It's not like we have to get into a panic just because someone new came to the cafe. I'm literally just trying to get an M&M, by the way, if it seems like I'm confused. I had this really cute thing I got a couple years ago. It has M&Ms in it, and like it does not like to turn. A cafe that panics over customers coming in already seems problematic.
というか、仮にアンシャンテ常連に人外が増えたら、また僕の仕事が増えるんだな。大変。
I want him to walk in right now. In fact, if another non-human regular starts coming to Enchante, that means I'll have even more work to do. Oh man.
アンシャンテとしては良いことかもしれんだろう。諦めて仕事に精進することだな。
Though it may be a good thing for Enchante, you shouldn't complain and get to work.
これでも真面目にやってるんだけどね。実を言うと、うちの部署とか今メディオの件でてんてこまいなんだよ。
I am working hard, right? I am working hard though, okay? As a matter of fact, my department's been going crazy over Medio right now. What about Medio? Wait, was there some kind of problem because we all went to Medio? I nervously asked my question, but Mr. Rindo laughed and waves his hand, dismissing my concerns.
誰がどうこうとか、世界の危機がとか、そんなんじゃないよ。
It's nothing like people being in a panic or screaming about how the world's
という
ending.
か、誰かのせいって言うなら、僕自身のせいだし。
If it's anyone's fault, it's yours truly. Depending on who you ask, information on the Fairy World Medio inside the GPM is scarce. It's considered an unusual world. Normally written reports or testimonies by Canus could have been enough.
僕が生で妖精の動画を撮った件とか、あとはサンプルにいいかなって数枚頂戴した落ち葉とか草花がね。
I'm talking about the fairy videos I took and sort of thinking they'd be good samples. I took a few fallen leaves and
もう
flowers.
開発班に大受けでさ、おまけに詳しく話を聞かせろって連日朝から晩まで捕まっちゃって。
The R&D team is just eating it up. They want to hear everything and have been hounding me 24/7 to regale them. It seems like Mr. Rindo hasn't shown up here much after coming back from Medio. I suppose that's what's going on. I see. It must have been something considering the work of the GPM does.
まあいっそ現地住人のカヌスに任意同行してもらってそのまま話をしてもらいたいくらいだよ。
I might even have to ask the residents of that world, Canus, to come in for questioning by them. Which reminds me randomly, I had this silly thought I totally forgot to mention earlier. I have a friend whose fiance is currently in Japan. And I wanted to find out if there was any Atomi merch they could buy me before they came back from Japan, because they asked me if I wanted anything. And I was like, I wonder if for the 1-year anniversary Virgin Evermore did any like collabs or something in Japan. But I don't know if I've ever looked up merchandise from Japan. A lot of the times, the most you'll get in the US for merch is if they do like a collector's edition of a box. Let's see. I'm really forgetful though, so this is like... I was going to buy a game that was on sale last week, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it after I finish streaming, and I forgot to, and I think it's not on sale anymore. Alright. I might even have to ask the resident of that world, Canus, to come in for questioning by them. Why?
断る。先ほど自分で言っていたろ。まさに自業自得ではないか。
I decline. You basically said so yourself earlier that you caused all this yourself.
それに、ベスティアのように GPM
I have a further question about Canus. Since he knows he has a nose, mouth, eyes, ears, a face, like does he just know where it's at? Like how does he know? I'm very curious. Specifically telling me about merch. I see stuff that says import from Japan, but I don't even understand. Cloth and bag, like that doesn't look interesting. Tomy merch. Wait. There's been a Tomy gachas. I got an Ikebukuro last week, and I'm glad that I managed to find it. Oh my goodness, wait, what? This had a picture, and now there's no picture. I don't know if that helps me. Alright, well I guess I'll have to look it up later on my own. I was hoping I'd just find something to be like, oh, perfect, wonderful, done. Because I don't want to give my friend's fiance like a weird list of things. Especially since, one, it's going to be out of her way, and she doesn't know me that well. So if I ask for things, she doesn't know what I like. I actually don't even know what she likes in terms of stuff in Japan. So like I didn't want to say like, hey, can you go to this place if she wasn't going to that place already. And they did say she was going to be in Ikarba. Oh my gosh. I can't say it right now. The place where all the anime fans go. Ikiharba? My brain's broken. And so I was like, oh perfect, she'll be in some of the general areas, maybe. But if I don't have like, here's where I would like you to go and this is what I would like to get, it's not gonna happen. Alright, I wonder if I'd be able to face Titania and the others if the GPM travels there so frequently like they do in Bestia. Oh. There was one more that hit me. Bestia? You mean Ingus's homeworld, right? What sort of connection does his world and Bestia have? Canus nods deeply as if acknowledging my question.
我もイグニスから聞いた話なのだが、GPM は何らかの方法でベスティアへと直接干渉していると聞く。
This is just what I heard from Ingus, but I heard that GPM has somehow gotten able to travel to Bestia directly.
イグニス本人もベスティアで幾度も人の群れを見かけているらしいからな。
It seems that Ingus has seen humans traveling through Bestia numerous times, somehow able to travel, which is interesting, right? Because they were saying they wanted to take over the cafe so that they'd have access to the door to bar access to it, but now it just sounds like they did want to travel there. Wait, does the GPM also have a gate that goes to alternate worlds like ours? Canus and I Look towards Mr. Rindo.
惜しい。ほぼ正解だけど、本部にあるのはゲートじゃないよ。
Close, though essentially correct that we have our own. What we have down at headquarters isn't a gate. He's poured some milk into his air Americano and puts up 2 fingers.
確か前に説明があったと思うけどさ、異世界に行くための方法として2種類の転送法があるってやつ。
I think this was explained before, but there are 2 ways to travel to alternate worlds. Right, you're talking about gates and wormholes. I recall the conversation we had about homeworlds just before going to Medio. Just like the ones in Enchante, there are several gates that connect to alternate worlds, and there are wormholes, distortions in space that appear haphazardly. You can only travel in one direction through them, and they are incredibly unstable. If you happen to fall into one, you would be nothing but unfortunate. That's how it was explained to me. So then, the GPM headquarters has a wormhole?
そう。普通ホールって言ったら、どんなに長くても数日程度で閉じるはずなんだけど。
Right, normally a wormhole would close after the longest a few days.
何を思ったのか。うちに所属している変態で天才な変態が、それを固定開閉できるようにしちゃってね。
I can't imagine what he was thinking. One crazy genius found out how to stabilize them, opening and closing them at
そ
will.
の結果、ベスティアについては固定した直通路が確保されていてね。飛躍的に研究調査が進んでるんだ。
That's how we've been able to maintain a direct path to Bestia. We've been making great strides in research thanks to that. Oh wow, I didn't know that was possible.
GPM も伊達に国家組織を名乗ってはいないな。人材の層も厚いように思える。
It seems that GPM is not just a government institute just by name. These people seem quite capable.
どうかな。規格外に優秀なやつってどこにでもいるもんじゃない？性格とか人格とかはさておきね。
What makes you wonder? Talented people can be found anywhere, can't they? Regardless of their personalities. A crazy genius. I wonder what kind of person they are to be called something like that. Maybe they have white hair.
ごちそうさま。さてさて、仕事地獄なおじさんは今からもう一頑張りかな。
Thank you. Now then, time for this old man to get back to the hellhole he calls work. Good luck.
根を詰めすぎるな。お前もよく言うように、人は脆いのだから。
Do not push yourself too hard. As you say, humans are frail.
なんだろう。心配されてるのは嬉しいんだけど、年齢的な意味で言われてる気がするよ。
That's weird. I'm glad you're worried, but I can't help but feel like that's a jab at my age.
気のせいだ。
You're imagining things. I take his payment and Mr. Rindo begins to put on his suit.
あ、そうだ。話が戻っちゃうんだけどさ。
Oh, that's right, Leah. Going back to what we were talking
こ
about.
こに来た人外の男の子について、聞いた話じゃ、害をなすような子じゃないとは思うけど。
That non-human boy who came by here, from what I've heard so far, it seems like he doesn't intend to do any harm.
念のため、僕の方でも GPM のデータベースを紹介してみるよ。
But just in case, I'll look through the GPM database.
何か特徴とか、覚えてる限りで教えてもらえるかな。目鼻立ちでも、会話の仕方でも。
Did he have any memorable features? Can you tell me anything you remember? His face, manner of speech is fine too. He's got white hair and blue eyes. He was wearing a red shirt. He had a necklace with a dingly thing on it. And he wore a jacket that had fur around the outside, which is how you knew he had stuff to do with ice. Features, huh? I try to think back to what I saw that day. Want a sketch outline. Just by looking at him, he really did look just like an ordinary middle schooler, except for like a lot. Yo, what you doing? I'm currently playing Cafe Enchante. What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to do an interview today? Okay, good. Maybe about 160 centimeters. That means he's literally only a foot shorter. Your interview was yesterday. I could have sworn it said Saturday. Oh my god, I missed it. I'm so sorry. Slowly forget what day of the week it is. Start shaking violently. But I'll be playing tonight if you guys are still playing at 10. I did say so in the chat. So once I get back from work. I get off at 9:30, but I put 10 just to be safe because obviously there's travel time. So we'll see how we do. Alright, maybe about 160 centimeters tall, and he had a slender build. I mean, yeah. I guess that's right. That's not wrong. Oh, she was from the other side of the world, so it was her Saturday, but your Friday? That's fair. That do happen like that. Can't wait. Yeah, I know. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I hopefully won't die every single time we go somewhere. This time. It's my goal. That's why I stopped jumping over holes, because I kept falling. As for features that stood out... Oh, are you gonna talk about the necklace or his hair? One thing that stood out in particular was the boy had really beautiful white hair. Is that normal, though? Sigh, me too. I don't recall you dying as much as I did. I died going up the stairs by lightning. And I made sure not to bring anything with me, and I still got struck by lightning. That's right, he had shiny silken white hair that would stand out even if he was in the middle of town. Yeah, it was so striking. I feel like he didn't look like a normal resident. Are we getting anybody's else? I know everyone else was talking about maybe getting friends. Oh goodness, wait, is Discord popping and I was on my playing a game? Let's see. Palm says no. I have so many messages suddenly. What has happened? We need to get ahead of life. He needs to get ahead of life. First off, I know you watch anime, so you'll be familiar with this. He's a Dullahan. He's the bringer of death. He usually wears a helmet when other people are around, but he says he has a face. Be here all night.
氷を使う白髪のもの
Oh no, Canus knows who it is. You're all night. Yeah, I could probably stay up pretty late too, so I can stay up till past midnight. I don't work early tomorrow, so if I can stay up late. It'd be fun if we make it a weekly thing. So I would love to play more Lethal Company. We could even try other games. I keep hearing about this one that's made by the guys who do Battlefield. Oh gosh, the Audition, the something. I don't know if I'll be any good at it though. It's not the Audition, that's not right. I feel like the vibe is right though. Same but schedules. I know, right? I felt so bad because the finals! Yeah! That looked like it might be fun. All the art looks really nice. But I'll probably suck at it. Schedules are hard. Honestly, I didn't even think about it because we all said let's play Saturday and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I saw it was closing afterwards and I was like, oh shoot, I should have looked ahead. White hair and control eyes. He knows it. The one who reacted to what I said was not Mr. Rindo, but Canus. Canus?
なるほどね。そこまで特徴があるなら探すのは難しくなさそうだ。
Does Rindo not read the room? Canus recognized him. What do you mean? I see with that many features, I don't think it's going to be difficult to find him.
何か分かったら報告するよ。
I'll report to you if I find anything. Come on, Canus.
リンド、その報告、できれば我にも届けてもらえるだろうか。
Oh, maybe he doesn't know who it is. Rindo, would you minding sharing the same report with
それは
me?
もちろんいいけど、何か気がかりなことでも
That's no problem, but is something bothering you about this?
これは勘というべき。
This shade of blue means he's worried, by the way. He's got emotions that depend on the flame. I'm done. I'm tired. Not doing full 5 hours OT just for today. Hey, it's OT. Do they actually pay you OT? That's the real question. But I also feel that in my heart. I keep getting like headaches. So like part of me hates doing most stuff. Get them mons. Yeah, exactly. Get money. But Jay's worked really hard all week, so Jay deserves a break too. Well, I just have a strange feeling. Why?
調べてもらえるとありがたい。
I'd appreciate any information on it.
了解。頑張りますよっと。
I kind of don't like his vest, if I'm being real. Got it. I'll get to it then. His hands 10-10. Enchante! Wait, we're in an office now. Wait, is this his office? Late at night before the next day?
いや、調べるとは言ったけどさ、普通報告した途端に即作業しろとか言う？
Oh no, I worked hard for that extra $50. The other I earned is taken from taxes anyways. But think of it this way, that $50 is enough to buy a video game with. I almost have some of these kits completely paid off. I'm so ready for March. It's gonna be a great time. I told them I'd try to investigate, but is it really necessary to ask me to get to work ASAP? After giving my report, complaining about the higher-ups again. For the impossible, Rindo Karu holds a cup of instant coffee in a room that aside from him was vacant. He was working overtime. Going to lurk mode. Alright. Yay, and I'll see you tonight. I'll see you in about 10-ish hours. Woohoo! Gosh, that just reminds me how I like to be at work. I'm so tired already. See you tonight. See you tonight. He was working overtime. Look! Rindo's working overtime just like Jay is today.
ああ、やだやだ。僕もいつかの彼女じゃないけど、老期に訴えてやろうかな。
Oh man, though I might not be her, maybe I should report this guy to the label bureau too. The coffee wasn't necessarily bad. I do miss the taste of Enchante though. When you say it like that, it sounds like you eat the building. But I suppose that this does come with a nice price. It's free. I can't be too picky given the situation.
で、例の謎の少年の特徴は
So let's see. The features of this mysterious boy were... My fingers brushing against the key after key. I enter in the information. I'm accessing the database of information non-human in the human world. Is essentially an encyclopedia of people to watch out for. I don't feel great that I have to use this.
身長と年齢、髪の色。あとは能力と報告年数で絞って。
Height, age, color of hair, filtered by abilities and related reports, data, and there we go. Right after I press the enter key.
お、ジャストで該当。てっきり未確認の人外だと思ってたけど。
You don't know if it's him. You weren't there, Rindo. You don't know what he looks like. This could be somebody else. A perfect match. I thought it'd be an unconfirmed non-human, but it's a registered one right here.
名前は
His name is...
阿部刈谷くんね。14歳の中学2年生。体が弱く学校を休みがち。
Karya Abi? 14, second year in middle school. His body's weak, so he misses school a lot.
登録されてる理由はと。
Let's see. The reason why he's here is to avenge the death of his father. Just kidding. Rindo's face went stern at the text displayed on his computer. A changeling? I love changelings. Changelings. A well-known part of folklore passed down from olden Europe. A phenomenon where a human child that was just born would be taken away by a fairy on a whim in exchange with a baby fairy.
っていう感じで人間界には伝わってたかな。
So that's how the human world has come to recognize them. In that case, he might be related to Medio. This Kyria Abe kid. Abe?
カヌスが気
Abe?
にかけてたことに関係があるのかな？
Could that be related to why Canus was curious about him too? While in thought, I sip my instant coffee. Does that mean he doesn't know
お
he's...
やおや、そこにいるのは
Oh, I know that voice. Who's that over
情
there?
報課課長こと人外ひしめくアンシャンテの監視役
Our intelligent chief and watcher over Enchante where non-humans mingle.
などという羨ましくもけしからん役目を任されている林道薫ではないかね。
So I'm gonna Google this guy because I'm curious because I recognize his voice, but he's got a fox. But that fox looks like it has a thing on its tail, so I don't like that. Why, it's our Caro window, the one with the outrageously inviolable job. Size. The server's down. Oh no. Cafe Enchante. Characters. Oh, he's Dahat. Is it? Oh wait, he sounds like Dahat. Oh, you got me so excited. I thought you said it was Dahat. Looks like Dahat in a way too. Oh my god. I was like, if it's Dahat, then absolutely I know who Dahat is. The site I usually go to that lists like all the voice actors is down right now though. Let's see if I can find them. Give me the voice actor's name. Oh no, does not have their voice actors' names on here. Akira Mikado Cafe. Enchante voice actor. It literally tried to take me to the website I usually go to and then tell me it's down. How could you do this to me? Voice actor. Does this have Cafe Enchante or Cafe Enchante? Okay, cool. Alright, let's see. Loop 8. I haven't played that yet. He's in Star Ocean. Jack and Jean. Mitsuki Shirota. He's the sweet little quiet singer from Jack and Jean. Is there anybody else? Jump Force. Who's Asta? Oh, Asta. That's it. Just Jack and Jean. These from things I recognize. He does a lot. Paradox Live. Star Ocean. Does he have any other? That's still funny. He's from Black Clover. He's Asta from Black Clover. That's probably... He's also in JoJo, which honestly, I feel like every actor... Fruits Basket. Oh, he's no one important in Fruits Basket. He's just a voice in Fruits Basket. That hurt my feelings. I got excited. Alright, but he's Mitsuki Shirota from Jack and Jean, which is the beautiful voice Jean. So that's funny. Alright, I'm not gonna close this just in case I decide to Google somebody else, because I keep Googling people. Not that guy. Was particularly spelled out on his face. Rindo's poker face was usually very good, but it just fell apart here. This guy, here in this place, had a look that suggested he might have just broken out of jail or maybe a foster home? He does have that Dahat energy though. But no, he was Rindo's old friend, the chief of development, Akira Mikado, a colleague of Rindo and the head of the GPM development division. Despite his childlike appearance, he is a highly talented scientist. Is this a trope that I didn't know where they put a kid as a scientist? It was none other than the crazy genius who stabilized teleportation. I see.
やあやあ、今日も残業ご苦労様だね。それともアンシャンテでまた何か新しい発見でもしたのかな？
He just has a little fox. The hot is Hebe's voice actor. Yeah, that's why I was so excited for Hebe. Hebe needed a route. He's also the same voice actor for Habina. He does both voices. He's both of the gods. Look at that. Working overtime, huh? Oh, or did you find some juicy news over at Enchante?
妬ましい。羨ましい。
I'm so envious. Just so jealous.
ただでさえレア中のレアな人外に囲まれる天国のような生活を約束されているというのに。
Here you are, given the promise that you can live this heavenly life surrounded by rare non-humans.
しかも GPM 史上初の妖精界メディオの現地行きまで。
He's
なぜ
literally
僕に黙っていたのかね。
hugging
白
a
状者。
fox right now, man. But not only that, you actually went to Medio, a GPM first. Why did you keep that a secret from me, you brute? After recovering a barrage of words, a heavy fatigue fell over me.
あのさ、ミカド。僕一人しかいないとはいえ、職場で大声出すのはどうかと思うよ。
Listen, Mikado, I know I'm the only one here, but you can't just yell like that here in the workplace.
あと前も言ったけど、お前を連れて行くとさ、あそこの人外図からの信頼がさらに失われちゃうわけだよ。
And I've told you before, if I take you, I'll lose even more trust from those non-humans.
血液採取を挨拶代わりにするような変態科学者様は、自重って言葉を知らないみたいだしね。
Anku's voice actor is in this game. Let's see if you can find him. Let's go. I mean, he's got so much. He's done so many Atomi games. I have like 3 games on my list that I want to play simply for him. And he's the voice of Jonathan Joestar. He's not just a voice actor in JoJo. He is the voice of JoJo in JoJo. A crazy lab guy like you would take blood samples. When he says hello isn't a good look. You do understand that, don't you?
ふふん、仕方あるまい。人外とはそれだけ魅力的な存在なのだから。だいたい君の信頼よりも人類の至宝たる頭脳。
I can't help if non-humans are just that interesting. More important than your trust is my highly treasured brain.
つまりは、この僕の学術的好奇心の方がはるかに価値が高いに決まっているじゃないか。
In other words, my scientific curiosity is obviously of higher value.
妖精女王ティターニア、僕も会ってみたかった。
The Fairy Queen Titania. I so desperately want to meet her.
それはもうきっととてつもなく表現のしようがないほどに素晴らしい人外なのだろうね。
I'm sure she's such an amazing non-human who can't be described with words. Rindo's praises his past self for not taking along this walking disaster of a freak who could barely keep his breathing in check, and also because he knew that the reason this guy wanted to meet the research non-humans wasn't just because he was curious.
まったく、リンドは意地が悪いにも程がある。ねえ、クーちゃん。
Gosh, you're just so mean, Rindo. Isn't that right, Koo? A fox-like stuffed toy that Akira Mikoto always carries. I assumed it was a real creature that he had kidnapped. My bad. Akira was tilting his head towards and talking to a stuffed animal on his shoulder. Rindo let out a sigh. Moments after Rindo realized he was making a pretty nasty face, he decided to hold his tongue.
ああ、それでリンド。結局、君はまずそうなコーヒーをすすりつつ、業務時間外に何をしていたのかね。
So, Rindo, what brings you here after hours? You just need some of that crappy coffee?
ああ、まあちょっと調べ物をね。
I was looking something up.
どれどれ
Let me see.
こら、何を勝手に。
What? Hey, what are you doing? His body was small enough to slip by, and Kira swooped up to the computer Rindo was using for his
お
research.
お、チェンジリングか。ロマンがあるよね。またの名を先祖返りとも言う。
Oh, a changeling, huh? What fantastical type they are. They also called astral
し
relapsers.
かし、へえ、この個体、すごいじゃないか。
This specimen's impressive, too.
何がさ。
In what way?
だって、ずいぶん長生きしてるじゃないか。チェンジリングの対象者は、だいたい5年持てばいい方さ。
I mean, look, he's been alive for a while. Changelings' targets are usually at most 5 years.
おや、知らなかったのかい？まあ、でもそうか。情報課課長といえど、すべての人外の知識があるわけではないか。
This is scary. What does that mean? You didn't know this? I guess even intelligent chiefs don't know everything about non-humans. Mikado flutters his coat as he boasts.
何しろ、本来人間界にいるべきでない存在だ。生まれる世界を間違いで誕生してしまったものなのだから。
They're not supposed to live in the human world at all. They're mistakenly born here and grow up in the wrong world.
そうだな。例えて言うなら、人間がうっかり猛毒の空気の中に生まれたようなものだね。
If I were to make an example, it's like a human being born in an atmosphere that's just plain toxic to
い
breathe
や
in.
ー、10年以上生きてる個体なんて極めて珍しい存在だと断言できるよ。
Man, I can definitely say a specimen over 10 years is extremely
それで
rare.
それで、君はなんで彼を調べてたんだい？捕まえて研究対象にしていいの？
So, why were you looking him up? Can I catch him? Keep him as a subject? And that's how you know that they're the bad guys. Ignoring Makoto and his comments that strayed him further away from humanity, Rindo thinks seriously for a moment.
人間界では長く生きられない妖精がアンシャンテを訪れた理由。
Why would a fairy who's not supposed to live so long in the human world come to
偶然なら
Enchante?
別にいい。でも、それ以外だとしたら。
Coincidence is one thing, but if it wasn't...
理由は何だ？同じ妖精であるカヌスの存在に気づいた。
What was the motive? Did he realize Canus, a fairy, was there,
自
or...
分の体の不調から無意識のうちにメディオの気配に引き寄せられた。
Or did his weakened body subconsciously gravitate towards any presence from Medio? It wasn't impossible.
でも、もしそうだとしたら、
But if that's the
猶
case,
予
then
は
there
もうほとん
isn't
どない。
much time. With a serious face on, Rindo begins to move. The next GPM mission was unfolding. Perfect. We're gonna call it here because I got to leave for the work soon. I took the screenshot too late. It didn't screenshot right. Alrighty then. Well, we're gonna continue this lovely adventure. Maybe Sunday, but definitely on Tuesday. I don't know. Monday is still one of those days where sometimes I'll stream in the afternoon, but I definitely plan on streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week so that we can try and progress our story and maybe end up on a route. I may have made a mistake. I picked this one because it had 5 routes, but it turns out that the beginning is forever. Thank you. Bye, Jay. Thank you for visiting and staying around while you were working. I'm glad you got your extra money today by doing OT. But yes, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll continue our adventure soon. And I will be playing tonight. I'll be playing Lethal Company with friends. That's going to be at like 10 p.m. my time is about when I'm going to start. So that's going to be, it's 12:30 right now, 9-ish hours from now. So if you want to stop by and say hi then, come join us. We are going to be chaotic as always. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my newer stuff on Twitch. I stream there a couple times a week. And if you're watching this on Twitch, you can check me out on YouTube if you want to see my older videos. I upload all my VODs on there. Currently, my Winter's Wish VODs are actively posting one a day right now. So you can check those out if you haven't watched those. Thank you. Bye, 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 bye.